At 2:47 a.m. Tom Hawk Daniels' world cracked open with a phone call, shattering a 16-year silence he'd carefully maintained. A young woman he had sworn to protect, Jake Morrison's daughter Lily, was clinging to life in an Albuquerque hospital bed. Broken ribs, a fractured wrist, and a stepfather, a badge-wearing cop, claiming it was all just a tragic accident. But the grim reality painted a far different picture. By dawn, a rumble would shake the Arizona desert as 97 motorcycles thundered eastward, each bound by a promise forged in blood and brotherhood. But what these riders would uncover in that sterile hospital room would ignite a war, a clash between justice and the corrupting influence of power, a battle no one saw brewing. Before we saddle up and ride headlong into the storm, slam that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far the story resonates. Stick with me until the very end, because what these riders did, the unwavering loyalty they displayed, will restore your faith in the true meaning of family. A family built not on blood, but on unbreakable bonds. The shrill ring of the phone cut through the pre-dawn darkness. Hawk snatched it up on the third ring. Daniels. Mr. Daniels, this is Rebecca Chun, New Mexico Child Protective Services. I'm calling about Lily Morrison. His hand froze, halfway to the bedside lamp. A cold dread washed over him. What happened? She's at Presbyterian Hospital in Albuquerque. Admitted 4 hours ago. 3 broken ribs, fractured wrist, contusions across her back. Her stepfather says it was an accident. A beat of silence hung heavy in the air. Was it? Miss Chun, was it an accident? The doctors don't think so, Mr. Daniels, but her stepfather is a decorated police officer, and unless we can find grounds for emergency removal, she goes home to him in 24 hours. Hawk was already yanking on his jeans, adrenaline coursing through his veins. How far? You're in Tucson. 620 miles. I'll be there in 8 hours. Don't let her leave. Mr. Daniels, I need to explain. He slammed the phone down, stood there in the oppressive darkness, breathing hard, the weight of 16 years pressing down on him. On the wall, a faded photograph seemed to mock him. Jake Morrison, grinning in desert camo, 24 years old, 3 months before a roadside bomb stole him away forever. Jake's last words, whispered through blood-soaked Afghan sand, echoed in Hawk's mind. Promise me, Hawk. Promise me you'll watch over Sarah and the baby. I promise, brother. 16 years. 16 years of telling himself the girl was fine. That Morrison had it handled. That Hawk wasn't needed anymore. Lies. All lies. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm coming now. He punched in Diesel's number. For rings. Whoever this is, it better be dying. Hawk, I need the club. Everyone. We ride at dawn. Hawk, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What in the... Jake Morrison's daughter, 14 years old, in the hospital. Stepfather's a cop and he put her there. They're sending her back to him tomorrow unless we stop it. Pregnant pause. Then where? Albuquerque. That's over 600 miles. I know. How many you want? Everyone who can throw a leg over. Give me 2 hours. I'll make it happen. Hawk called Marcus next. Former Steel Wolf, now a high-powered defense attorney in Phoenix. Do you know what time it is? I need emergency custody papers filed tonight. Girl being abused by a cop. The sleep vanished from Marcus's voice, replaced by a razor-sharp focus. Details. Hawk laid it all out in 90 seconds, each word a hammer blow. I'll file electronically within the hour. But Hawk, if he's connected, this won't be easy. Cops protect their own. I don't need easy. I need her safe. I'm driving up. Meet you there. Thank you, brother. Next, Maven. 73 years old. Toughest man Hawk ever knew. Someone better be dying. Jake Morrison's daughter. Riding to get her at dawn. Need you. I'm in. Who else? Everyone. Diesel rounds up then. Saddle up, son. See you in 2. Hawk made 6 more calls. Every single one answered the same way. I'm in. Teachers, mechanics, a nurse, construction workers, a retired firefighter. That's what the Steel Wolves were. Not outlaws. Just ordinary people who understood that some promises you simply don't break. By 4:30, Hawk was geared up. Leather vest. The Steel Wolves patch emblazoned across his back. Boots worn smooth from 10,000 miles in the saddle. He walked into the garage. His Harley Road King waited in the shadows. A beast of black chrome built from scrap and stubbornness after the soul-crushing darkness of Afghanistan. He kicked it to life. The engine roared. A primal scream against the injustice brewing in Albuquerque. One more promise, old girl. By 5 a.m. The truck stop parking lot was half full of motorcycles, their chrome glinting in the pre-dawn light. Diesel saw him first, 6'4", beard thick to his chest. He raised a fist in salute. The president's here. Hawk killed his engine, his gaze sweeping over the assembled bikes, counting. 50, 60, 70. Maven rolled up on his trike, the modified machine rumbling like a caged bear. Told you you'd have your army. Rosa walked over, the club's only female rider. A trauma nurse hardened by years on the front lines of urban violence. Diesel told us. Jake's daughter, right? Yeah. Then we ride. Big Tommy, the high school English teacher, called out from his bike. Hawk, what's the play? When we get there, we show up. We stand witness. We make sure that hospital knows she's not alone. What if the cops try to move us? We stay peaceful, but we don't leave. Snake, the quietest rider in the club, spoke up, his voice barely a whisper. What if they take her anyway? Then the whole world watches them do it. More bikes rolled in, the deep rumble echoing across the empty highway, a symphony of defiance. Diesel walked up, a grim satisfaction in his eyes. 97 riders, brother. Everyone who could make it showed. Hawk's throat tightened. 97. 3 support vehicles too. Rico's truck, Jenny's van, Carlos's RV, ready to provide supplies and support for the long haul. Maven limped over, his face etched with determination. I knew Jake. Good man. Good soldier. He'd do this for any of our kids. Hawk turned to face them all, his voice ringing with conviction. Most of you never met Jake Morrison. He died in 2009 saving 6 men, including me. Before he died, he made me promise to watch over his daughter. He paused, the weight of his failure heavy in the air. I failed. I let some badge-wearing bastard convince me he had it covered. Now she's broken because I didn't keep my word. Silence. A promise hanging, unspoken, in the cool morning air. We're riding 620 miles to Albuquerque. We're not going in hot. We're standing witness. When we get there, that girl needs to see that someone showed up, that she's not alone, that someone gives a damn. Rosa stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. What if security stops us? Then we comply but we don't leave the lot. What if Morrison's there with backup? Then we outnumber him 97-1. Jimbo, the construction foreman, a mountain of a man, called out from the back. Hawk, what if this blows back on us? Cops see 97 bikers rolling up? They're gonna think gang. Let them think it. We know who we are. But Maven shook his head. His eyes filled with a lifetime of hard-won wisdom. Jimbo's got a point. We need to be smart about this. Tension rippled through the group. A palpable undercurrent of anxiety. Diesel crossed his arms, his jaw tight. Maven, you saying we shouldn't go? I'm saying we go smart. No colors inside the hospital. No loud voices. We make ourselves look like concerned citizens, not a mob. Hawk nodded, recognizing the truth in Maven's words. Maven's right. When we arrive, we park clean. 2 straight lines. Engines off. We walk in calm, hands visible, respectful, but we don't apologize for being there. Rosa raised her hand, her expression serious. What about recording? If Morrison tries something, we need proof. Someone documents, but quietly. No phones in faces. We're not there to provoke. Big Tommy stepped forward, his face etched with concern. One more thing, Hawk. What's her name? Lily Morrison. 14. Brown hair, blue eyes. Tommy nodded, his gaze hardening with determination. Then let's go get Lily. Maven raised his coffee thermos, a silent toast. To promises kept. 97 voices roared in unison. A thunderous affirmation. To promises kept. They mounted up, the leathers creaking, the engines rumbling with anticipation. Hawk kicked his Harley to life, its powerful engine shaking the ground. He rolled to the front of the formation, looked back at his family, the Steel Wolves. Steel Wolves, we ride for Lily. The convoy pulled onto the highway, a black snake slithering across the desert landscape. 97 engines, 1 mission. They rode hard, 2 columns, staggered formation, professional. Hour 1. Hawk's phone buzzed. Marcus. Emergency petition filed. Hearing tomorrow, 9 a.m. Judge Sandra Carrion. She's fair but tough. Morrison's already lawyered up. Union rep making calls. This is war. Hawk showed Diesel the message, his face grim. It's going to be a fight. Good. We brought an army. They're 2 gas stop in Silver City. Rosa handed out water and granola bars, her practical nature shining through. Stay hydrated. It's going to be a long day. Hawk stood apart, his face etched with worry, checking his phone. No new messages from Rebecca. Diesel walked over, his presence a comforting weight. You good? No. What happens if we get there, and they've already released her? Hawk's jaw clenched, his eyes hardening. Then we go to Morrison's house. That's a line, Hawk. I know, but I'm not leaving her there. Maven joined them, his gaze shrewd and knowing. You got a backup plan because cops don't like being embarrassed, especially dirty ones. Marcus is our backup. Legal pressure, public pressure. And if that doesn't work? Hawk looked at him, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Then we pray it does because the alternative is something I swore I'd never do again. They remounted, rolled back onto the highway, the sun climbing higher in the sky. Hour 4. New Mexico border. Hawk's phone rang. Rebecca Chun. Mr. Daniels, where are you? 2 hours out. Is she still there? Yes, but Morrison's here with 2 attorneys. They're pushing hard for immediate discharge. The doctors are stalling, but we're coming. Keep her there. Mr. Daniels, how many people are you bringing? Enough. That's not an answer. 97. Dead silence. Miss Chun? Mr. Daniels, if you bring a motorcycle gang into this hospital. Not a gang. Family. We'll be there in 2 hours. Don't let them take her. He hung up, his grip tightening on the handlebars. Hour 6. Albuquerque city limits. The sun was starting to drop, casting long shadows across the highway. Golden light cut across the desert landscape. Hawk pulled off at a rest stop, the convoy following in perfect unison. 97 bikes fell silent. Everyone dismounted, stretching their weary limbs. Last check, Hawk said, his voice ringing with authority. When we roll in, we do it calm. We park orderly. 2 lines, no revving, no yelling. We walk in like we belong because we do. Snake raised his hand, his quiet voice carrying across the parking lot. What if Morrison's waiting with cops? Then we stay polite. But we don't move. Jimbo spoke up again, his face etched with a mixture of concern and determination. Hawk, I gotta be straight with you. I got 2 kids at home. If this goes sideways, if we get arrested. Hawk cut him off, his gaze unwavering. Then leave now. No judgment. This is my promise, not yours. Jimbo looked around at the other riders, at Maven, at Diesel, his eyes searching for understanding. Nah, I'm in. Just wanted to say it out loud. Maven clapped him on the shoulder, a ghost of a smile on his lips. We're all thinking it, Jim. But sometimes you gotta stand up, even when it scares you. Rosa checked her phone, her brow furrowed. I'm getting texts. Someone leaked this on social media. People know we're coming. Hawk's eyes narrowed, a flicker of anger in their depths. Who leaked it? Don't know, but there's already a hashtag. Our promise kept. Diesel grinned, a fierce pride lighting his face. Good. Let the world watch. Hawk took a deep breath, steeling his resolve. All right, let's go. They mounted up one last time, the engines roaring to life, a chorus of defiance. The convoy rolled toward Presbyterian Hospital, a force of nature unleashed. They came down Alameda Boulevard like thunder, the rumble reaching the hospital first, a primal warning. Windows rattled. People stopped in their tracks, their conversations dying in their throats. Hawk led the formation into the parking lot, guiding his riders into 2 perfect lines, a silent, disciplined army. 97 bikes, 97 riders, engines cut, silence. They dismounted, stood beside their machines, their faces grim, their resolve unwavering. Hawk walked toward the entrance, Diesel, Maven, and Rosa flanking him, a vanguard of justice. The automatic doors opened, and the lobby went dead quiet. Nurses froze, their hands hovering over clipboards. Visitors stared, their faces a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. 2 security guards reached for their radios, their eyes wide with alarm. Rebecca Chun appeared from the hallway, her face pale and drawn. She saw Hawk, saw the sea of leather through the glass doors, and her breath caught in her throat. Oh my God. Hawk walked up to her, his gaze intense but reassuring. Rebecca Chun, I'm Tom Daniels. Where's Lily? Rebecca's hands shook, her voice barely a whisper. 3rd floor, room 314. But her stepfather. I know. I need 5 minutes with her. Just 5. You're not family. I can't. That girl's father died in my arms. 5 minutes. Let her know she's not alone. Rebecca looked at him, at the lines etched in his face, at the raw pain in his eyes. She looked past him, through the glass doors, at the 97 riders, silent, waiting. Their presence a testament to their unwavering loyalty. 5 minutes. If security comes. They won't need to. She nodded, her resolve hardening. Follow me. They walked to the elevator, the silence broken only by the soft whir of the machinery. The doors closed, sealing them in. Why 97 people? Rebecca asked, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Because she needs to know someone cares. Not just me. Family. The elevator doors opened on the 3rd floor, the sterile smell of disinfectant filling the air. They walked down the hallway, the soft hum of medical equipment their only soundtrack. 3rd floor, room 314. Rebecca stopped outside the door, her face etched with concern. Morrison's in the waiting area with his lawyers. He doesn't know you're here yet. Good. Hawk pushed the door open, his heart pounding in his chest. The room was dim, illuminated only by the soft glow of medical equipment. Medical equipment beeped rhythmically. In the bed, small and broken, was Lily. She looked exactly like Jake, the spitting image of her father. Her eyes fluttered open, confused, then widened with recognition. Uncle Hawk? He crossed to her, knelt beside the bed, and gently took her hand in his. Hey kiddo, I'm here. I'm sorry I took so long. Tears streamed down her face, silent and heartbreaking. He said no one would come. He said I was lying. I believe you, and I brought some people who believe you too. What people? Look outside. Rebecca helped her sit up, gently adjusting the pillows behind her. Lily turned to the window, her gaze drawn to the scene below. From the 3rd floor, she could see the parking lot, filled with a sea of motorcycles and leather-clad riders. Her breath caught in her throat, a sob escaping her lips. Who are they? Your dad's family. My family. They rode 600 miles to stand with you. She sobbed, the tears flowing freely now, a release of pent-up fear and pain. Hawk held her hand, his voice filled with love and compassion. Lily, I need you to tell me the truth. Did Daniel Morrison do this? She nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and anger. Has he done it before? Another nod, barely perceptible. Your mom? What happened to her? Lily's voice went cold, flat, devoid of emotion. He killed her. The room froze, the air thick with unspoken horror. Rebecca gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Hawk leaned closer, his eyes searching hers, his voice a low, steady murmur. Are you sure? I saw it. They were fighting about money, about leaving. He pushed her down the stairs. Then he put her in the car and crashed it into the tree, told everyone she was drunk. But she wasn't. She was trying to save me. Rage flooded Hawk's veins, cold and focused. But his voice stayed calm, controlled. Okay, you're never going back there. You hear me? Never. But he's a cop. And there are 97 witnesses outside. A lawyer filing papers right now. Everyone's about to know your story. Promise. Hawk squeezed her hand, his voice a low rumble of resolve. I promise. On your father's grave. The door slammed open, the sound shattering the fragile peace. A man in uniform stood there, his face a mask of anger. 2 suits flanked him, their expressions cold and calculating. Officer Daniel Morrison, tall, clean-cut, cold eyes. Who the hell are you? Hawk stood, placing himself between Morrison and the bed, a silent barrier. The man who made a promise to her father. Morrison's face twisted with contempt. Jake's biker buddy. You need to leave now. No. One of the lawyers stepped forward, his voice smooth and condescending. Sir, you have no legal standing. Leave or we'll have you removed. Hawk smiled, a smile devoid of warmth. Check the window first. Morrison walked to the glass, his eyes widening as he took in the scene below. His face went white, his carefully constructed facade cracking under the pressure. What the hell is this? That's family. Something you wouldn't know about. Morrison's hand moved toward his belt, toward his gun. A desperate act of intimidation. Don't, Hawk said, his voice a low growl. You pull that weapon in front of her, with 97 witnesses watching, your career's over. Morrison's hand froze, his face a mask of fury. Rebecca stepped forward, her voice firm and unwavering. Officer Morrison, I filed a report with CPS. An emergency custody hearing is scheduled for tomorrow morning. On whose authority? Mine. Marcus walked in, his suit impeccable, his briefcase in hand, his presence a symbol of impending legal action. Marcus Wellington, counsel for Tom Daniels. Emergency petition filed. Judge Carrion hears it at 9 a.m. Morrison's face went purple, his rage barely contained. She's my daughter. Stepdaughter, Marcus corrected, his voice sharp and precise. And the evidence says otherwise. Morrison pointed a trembling finger at Hawk. You brought a gang to intimidate. I brought witnesses. 97 people saying Lily Morrison deserves better than you. Morrison lunged forward, his control snapping, his rage consuming him. Diesel appeared in the doorway, stepping between them, his massive frame an impassable barrier. That'd be a mistake, officer. Morrison's lawyer grabbed his arm, his voice urgent. Daniel, we're leaving. We'll handle this in court. Morrison stabbed a finger at Hawk, his eyes burning with hatred. This isn't over. Hawk's voice was ice, a chilling promise. You're right. It's just beginning. Morrison stormed out, the lawyers trailing behind him, their faces grim. The door closed, leaving a tense silence in its wake. Lily was crying, but different now. Tears of relief, of hope. Hawk knelt beside the bed again, taking her hand in his. You're safe now. I'm scared. I know, but you're not alone anymore. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. 97 riders stood in the parking lot, silent, waiting, guarding a girl they'd never met. Because promises matter. Because family isn't blood. It's loyalty. And Tom Hawk Daniels wasn't breaking another promise. Not ever again. Morrison's footsteps echoed down the hallway, fading into the distance. But the threat hung in the air like smoke, a lingering reminder of the danger that still lurked. Hawk stayed at Lily's bedside, his hand still holding hers, a silent vow of protection. What happens now? She whispered, her voice barely audible. Now we make sure you're protected 24/7 until that hearing tomorrow. Rebecca stepped closer, her face etched with concern. Mr. Daniels, hospital policy won't allow. Then we stay outside in the parking lot all night if we have to. Marcus set his briefcase on the visitor chair, his expression grim. Hawk's right. Morrison knows he's losing control. That makes him dangerous. We need eyes on this room until the judge rules. Rebecca looked torn, her loyalty to her profession battling with her growing sense of justice. I can request a security detail, but Morrison's a cop, Marcus finished, his voice grim. He has friends on the force. We can't trust that. Hawk stood, his resolve hardening. How long before they discharge her? Rebecca checked her tablet, her brow furrowed. Dr. Warren wants to keep her overnight for observation. The ribs need monitoring, but if Morrison pushes with his lawyers, they could override the medical recommendation. Then we make it impossible for him to push. Diesel appeared in the doorway, his face grim. Hawk, we got a situation downstairs. Hawk squeezed Lily's hand, his gaze filled with reassurance. I'll be right back, kiddo. Rosa's going to stay with you. She's a nurse. You're safe. Rosa moved to the bedside immediately, pulling up a chair, her presence a calming influence. Hey, sweetheart. I'm Rosa. Let's check those bandages. Okay. Lily nodded, still scared, but less alone. Hawk followed Diesel into the hallway. Maven was there too, his face grim, and 3 hospital security guards. The head guard, his nameplate said Torres, held up a hand, his expression wary. Sir, I need you and your people to clear the parking lot. We've had complaints. Complaints from who? That's not relevant. You're creating a disturbance. Hawk kept his voice level, his eyes unwavering. We're parked legally. Engines off. No noise. What disturbance? Torres shifted his weight, his gaze darting nervously from Hawk to Maven to Diesel. Look, I don't want trouble, but if you don't move, I'll have to call the police. Call them? Torres blinked, his expression surprised. Excuse me? Call the police. We're not breaking any laws. We're here to make sure that girl stays safe. One of the other guards, younger, nervous, spoke up, his voice barely audible. Safe from what? From the cop who put her here. Torres's expression changed, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. You're talking about Officer Morrison. I'm talking about a man who beats children. The young guard looked at Torres, his eyes filled with concern. Chief, if that's true. We don't know what's true, Torres said quickly, his voice firm, but doubt lingered in his eyes. Look, I'm just doing my job. The hospital administrator wants you gone. Maven stepped forward, his voice a low rumble of defiance. Son, we rode 600 miles to stand with that girl. We're not leaving. If you want us gone, you'll have to arrest 97 people, and I promise you, every camera out there will catch it. Torres looked past them, through the window at the parking lot. 97 riders, some sitting on their bikes, others standing in small groups, all of them waiting. Their faces a silent declaration of their unwavering resolve. His radio crackled to life. Torres, what's the status? He pressed the button, his gaze still assessing the situation. Sir, I want them gone in 10 minutes. Torres released the button, looked at Hawk, his expression a mixture of resignation and grudging respect. I can't let you stay inside the building, but the parking lot is public property. If you stay peaceful, I won't push it. Hawk nodded, his gaze unwavering. We'll stay peaceful, and if Morrison comes back, then we stay between him and that room. Torres studied him for a long moment, his eyes searching for any sign of deception, then nodded, his decision made. All right, but if anything escalates, it won't. You have my word. The guards left, their footsteps echoing down the hallway. Diesel exhaled, his shoulders slumping slightly with relief. That was close. It's gonna get closer, Maven said, his voice grim. Morrison's not done. Guys like him don't back down. Hawk's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You made a big mistake. That girl is mine. Back off or this gets ugly. He showed it to Diesel, his face hardening. That's from Morrison. Has to be. Maven read it over Diesel's shoulder, his eyes narrowing with concern. He's threatening you. Let him, Hawk said, his voice a low growl. This could go bad fast. It's already bad. Now we make it right. Marcus joined them from the room, his face grim. I just got off with Judge Carrion's clerk. The hearing is confirmed for 9 a.m. But Morrison's lawyer filed a counterpetition. They're claiming you're a dangerous influence, gang affiliation, trying to paint the Steel Wolves as criminals. We're not criminals, Hawk said, his voice filled with indignation. I know, but optics matter, Marcus replied, his expression serious. We need character witnesses. People who can testify to your relationship with Jake and Lily. Hawk thought fast, his mind racing. Sarah's parents, Jake's mom and dad, they knew me. They trusted me with Lily. Where are they? Phoenix. I haven't talked to them since Sarah died. Call them tonight. We need them at that hearing. Hawk nodded, his resolve hardening. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through his old contacts, and found Carol Morrison's number. His finger hovered over the call button, hesitation creeping into his heart. What if they blamed him? What if they thought he should have protected Sarah too? Hawk, Marcus said gently, his voice filled with understanding. Make the call. He pressed dial, his heart pounding in his chest. It rang 4 times. Then, a voice older, tired. Hello? Carol, it's Tom Daniels. Hawk, silence. Long enough that he thought she'd hung up. Hawk, my God, it's been years. I know. I'm sorry. I should have called sooner. Where are you? Albuquerque, at Presbyterian Hospital. With Lily. Another pause, heavy with unspoken emotions. Lily's in the hospital. Carol, Daniel Morrison put her there. Broken ribs, fractured wrist, and she told me he killed Sarah. He heard her breath catch, a gasp of disbelief and horror. What? Lily says it wasn't an accident that Morrison pushed Sarah down the stairs, then staged the car crash. Carol, I need you to listen. Where's Daniel now? He was here, but we sent him away. There's a custody hearing tomorrow morning. I filed for emergency guardianship. You, Hawk, you haven't been in her life for. I know, and I'm sorry. I failed Jake. I failed Sarah. But I'm not failing Lily. Not anymore. I need you and Bill to come to that hearing. I need you to tell the judge that Jake trusted me, that I'm not who Morrison's lawyers are going to say I am. Carol was crying now, soft, broken sobs. I knew something was wrong. After Sarah died, Lily stopped calling, stopped visiting. Morrison always had an excuse. Carol, please, can you come? We'll be there first thing tomorrow. Hawk, thank you. Thank you for not giving up on her. His throat tightened, emotions swirling within him. I gave up once. Not again. He hung up, looked at Marcus. His eyes filled with a newfound determination. They'll be there. Good. That helps. Now we need to survive the night. They walked back to Lily's room. Rosa was sitting with her, talking quietly, her presence a comforting balm to the young girl's wounded spirit. Lily's eyes were red but calmer, her grip on Rosa's hand tight. How is she? Hawk asked, his voice filled with concern. Vitals are stable, but she needs rest, and she needs to feel safe. Hawk knelt beside the bed again, taking Lily's hand in his. Lily, I'm gonna be right outside this room all night. So is Rosa. So are 97 other people. Morrison can't get to you. Not tonight. Not ever again. What if the judge says I have to go back? That's not going to happen. But what if? Then we fight. And we keep fighting until you're safe. Promise. She looked at him, searching his face, seeking reassurance. Why? You didn't have to come. Yes, I did, Hawk said, his voice filled with conviction. I made your dad a promise. And Jake was my brother. That makes you family. I don't even remember him. Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. I know, Hawk replied softly, but he loved you more than anything, and he'd want you protected. So that's what we're doing. Lily's hand tightened around his, her fear slowly receding, replaced by a glimmer of hope. Don't leave. I won't. Rosa stood, her voice gentle and reassuring. I'll get some blankets. Looks like we're camping out. Diesel poked his head in, his face grim. Hawk, we're setting up shifts outside. 8 riders on duty at a time, rotating every 3 hours. Torres gave us permission to use the benches by the entrance. Good, Hawk replied, his voice filled with gratitude. Make sure someone's got eyes on every entrance. If Morrison tries to come back, I want to know immediately. Copy that. Maven appeared next, his face etched with concern. Hawk, we got press showing up. Local news. Someone tipped them off. Let them film. I want everyone to see this, Hawk said, his voice filled with determination. You sure? This could backfire. Or it puts pressure on Morrison. Let the world watch. Marcus pulled out his phone, his expression serious. I'll prep a statement. Keep it simple. Concerned citizens ensuring a child's safety. Nothing inflammatory. Hawk nodded, turning back to Lily, his gaze filled with tenderness. You doing okay? I'm tired. Then sleep, Hawk said, his voice gentle. We'll be right here. But she didn't let go of his hand, her grip tight, her fear still lingering. Will you tell me about my dad? Hawk's chest ached, emotions welling up inside him. Yeah, he replied softly. Yeah, I can do that. He pulled a chair closer to the bed, settled in and began to speak, his voice a low, soothing murmur. Your dad was the toughest guy I ever met. Not because he was big or mean, but because he never quit. Never left anyone behind. What did he look like? Like you, Hawk smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. Same eyes, same stubborn chin. He used to say you got your mom's kindness and his hard head. Lily almost smiled. Almost. We were in Afghanistan together. Hawk continued, his voice tinged with sadness. Different units, but we crossed paths in Helmand province. Got pinned down by enemy fire, outnumbered and outgunned. Hawk's voice resonated. He caught fire one day. Your dad, Jake, didn't owe us anything. He didn't have to help. But he was that kind of man. He ran headfirst into the teeth of a raging firefight, braving the bullets to drag 2 wounded soldiers back to safety. That was Jake through and through. Lily's voice was a soft whisper, barely audible. How? How did he die? Hawk paused, a visible struggle crossing his face as he carefully chose his words. He saved 6 men that day, me included. We were hit by an IED. There was no time to react. He pushed me out of the path of the blast. He took the full force of it himself. Did it hurt? She asked, her voice laced with childlike innocence. He knelt down, his eyes locking with hers. No, sweetheart. It was fast. Over before he even knew it. But before he went, he made me promise to watch over you and your mom. To be there for you both. And I kept that promise for a while. But then I failed you, Lily. I walked away when I should have stayed, when you needed me most. Her brow furrowed, confusion clouding her eyes. Why, Hawk? Why would you leave? Regret filled his voice. Because I was stupid. I was young, and I thought Morrison would take care of you both. I thought you didn't need me anymore. Couldn't have been more wrong. Lily's eyes were heavy now, the weight of exhaustion pulling her under. Do you think my dad would be mad at you? Hawk's voice was thick with emotion. Yeah, Lily, I think he'd be furious. But I also think deep down he'd forgive me, if I make it right, if I can somehow undo the damage I've done. A flicker of hope ignited in her eyes. Is that what you're doing now, Hawk? Making it right? That's exactly what I'm trying to do, Lily, with every fiber of my being. She closed her eyes, trusting him. Okay. Within minutes, she was asleep, her breathing soft and even. Hawk remained in the chair, his large hand engulfing hers, a silent vow passing between them. Rosa quietly returned with blankets, carefully draping one over Lily, then handing another to Hawk. Her voice was soft, laced with concern. You should rest too, Hawk. You haven't slept in days. His gaze remained fixed on Lily. Can't. Not until she's safe. Not until this is over. Rosa sighed, her voice firm. Hawk, you're no good to her, exhausted. You'll be running on fumes. You need to take care of yourself too. I'll rest when it's over, Rosa. Promise. Just, not yet. Rosa relented, pulling up another chair, her eyes filled with understanding. Then I'll stay up with you. You don't have to, you know. Her voice was resolute. Yeah, I do. That's what family does. They watch out for each other. They stand together. They settled into a comfortable silence, the weight of the situation heavy in the air. The hospital hummed around them, the rhythmic beeping of machines, the soft shuffle of footsteps in the hallway, the muffled murmur of distant voices creating a surreal soundtrack to their vigil. Around midnight, Diesel's text message vibrated on Hawk's phone. News van just pulled up. Channel 7. They're sniffing around, want a statement. Hawk immediately showed the message to Marcus, who was pacing nearby. I'll handle it. You stay with Lily. That's where you need to be. He left the room, his jaw set, prepared to face the cameras. He returned 20 minutes later, his expression unreadable. How'd it go? Hawk asked, his voice tight with anticipation. Good. Kept it clean. I said we're here to ensure a child's safety during a sensitive custody dispute. Didn't mention Morrison by name, but the reporter connected the dots. It'll run on the morning news. Morrison's going to lose his mind when he sees it. A grim satisfaction flickered across Hawk's face. Good. Let him. The more he reacts, the more unhinged he looks. The worse he looks to the judge. Around 1 a.m. Lily stirred in her sleep, her brow furrowed, whimpering softly. She woke up with a start, her eyes wide with fear. Hey. Hawk soothed, his voice gentle. You're okay. You're safe. I'm right here. I had a dream about my mom, she whispered, her voice trembling. She was trying to tell me something, but I couldn't hear her. It was like she was fading away. Rosa moved closer, her hand gently stroking Lily's hair. That's normal, honey. Your mind is processing a lot right now. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to miss her. I miss her so much. Lily choked out, tears welling in her eyes. I know you do, sweetheart. We all do. Her voice rose in anger. Morrison said. He said she left because she didn't love me anymore. But that's not true, is it? She wouldn't just leave me. Hawk's voice hardened, his eyes blazing with fury. No, Lily, that's a filthy lie. Your mom loved you more than anything in this world. She would have never willingly left you. Then why didn't she take me with her? Why was I left with him? Hawk's voice was filled with conviction. Because she didn't leave, Lily. Morrison killed her, and we're going to prove it. We're going to make him pay for what he did. How can you promise that? Everyone says it was just an accident. I don't know yet, Lily, but we will. We'll find the truth. I promise you that. She wiped her eyes, trying to compose herself. I'm scared to go to court tomorrow. What if he wins? Hawk's voice was reassuring. I'll be right there with you, Lily, every step of the way. So will Marcus, Carol, and Bill, your grandparents. They're coming in the morning. Lily's eyes widened, surprise washing over her. My grandparents? I haven't seen them in 2 years. Morrison said they didn't want to see me, that they didn't care about me. Another lie, Lily. He isolated you. They've been trying to reach you this whole time. They're driving here first thing in the morning. They can't wait to see you. Fresh tears welled in her eyes, tears of relief mixed with overwhelming grief. Can I meet the people outside? The ones who came for me? All those bikers? Hawk looked at Rosa, seeking her approval. She nodded, a gentle smile gracing her lips. Yeah, Lily, he said, his voice filled with warmth. When you're feeling a little stronger, they'd love to meet you. They all want to know you. What are their names? She asked, her curiosity piqued. Hawk chuckled. There's Diesel, a big guy with an even bigger heart. Maven, he's the oldest of the bunch, 73 and tougher than nails. Snake, who barely talks, but would walk through fire for you without hesitation. Big Tommy, who teaches English at the local high school. And Rosa, of course, who's been taking care of you, and 90 more just like them, all waiting outside. Why did they come? She asked, her voice filled with wonder. Hawk's voice was simple, honest. Because when someone needs help, you show up. That's what family does. You don't turn your back on them. Lily lay back down, exhaustion pulling her under once more. I wish my dad was here, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Hawk's voice was thick with emotion. Me too, kiddo, me too. She drifted off to sleep again, her face finally relaxed. Hawk's phone buzzed with another text message from the unknown number, the threat clear and chilling. Last warning, drop this or people get hurt. This isn't just about you anymore. He showed the message to Diesel, who had just walked in with a tray of coffee, his eyes hardening as he read the words. He's desperate. He knows he's losing. Or it means he's about to do something stupid. Maven added, his voice laced with concern as he joined them. Got word from Torres. Maven continued. Morrison tried to come back to the hospital an hour ago, demanded access to Lily. Torres told him visiting hours were over, that he couldn't see her. Morrison threatened to have him fired. Hawk's jaw tightened. Did Torres hold his ground? Yeah. He stood firm. Said hospital policy is hospital policy, even for cops. Morrison left, but he was pissed. I've never seen him that mad. He'll be back, Diesel said grimly. Probably with a warrant or something. Marcus overheard the conversation and chimed in. He can't get a warrant without probable cause, and no judge in their right mind would issue one in the middle of the night for a custody dispute. You sure about that, counselor? Maven asked, his skepticism evident. No, but it's highly unlikely. We just need to make it to 9 a.m. Then we're in front of Carrion. If we can just get to the hearing, we'll be fine. The night dragged on, each minute stretching into an eternity. Hawk dozed fitfully in the chair, his senses on high alert, waking every time Lily stirred. Rosa stayed close, monitoring her vitals, adjusting the blankets, a silent guardian. Around 4 a.m., Big Tommy quietly entered the room, his presence a welcome reassurance. Shift change, he announced softly. I'm on duty now. Go get some air, Hawk. You look like you're about to collapse. I'm good, Tommy. Really, I can handle it. 5 minutes, Hawk. That's all I'm asking. You're no use to her if you collapse. Go clear your head. We got this. Reluctantly, Hawk stood, stretched his stiff muscles, and walked into the hallway. The hospital was quieter now, the frenetic energy of the day replaced by the hushed stillness of the night shift. A few nurses moved silently about their duties, security guards made their rounds, their footsteps echoing softly in the deserted corridors. He walked to the elevator, rode down to the lobby, and stepped outside into the cool night air. The parking lot was bathed in the soft glow of streetlights. He saw them, his brothers, his family. 97 bikes still lined the lot, their chrome gleaming. The riders sat on benches, huddled together, drinking coffee from thermoses, sharing stories. Some were sleeping in their trucks, others standing watch, their eyes scanning the perimeter vigilant. Snake saw him first, detaching himself from the group and walking over to him, his face etched with concern. How's the girl doing? He asked, his voice low and gravelly. Scared, but hanging in there. She's got a fighter spirit just like her old man. She's strong. Yeah. Snake agreed, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. She'll get through this. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation hanging heavy between them. Hawk knew he could rely on Snake. He'd trust him with his life. Hawk, Snake said quietly, breaking the silence. What happens if the judge rules against you? What if she sends Lily back to him? Hawk's jaw clenched, his eyes hardening. We appeal. We fight it every step of the way. I won't let her go back. And if Morrison tries to take her before that happens? Snake pressed, his voice serious. Hawk's voice was unwavering, his determination absolute. Then we stop him. Legally, preferably. I don't want any trouble. But I won't let him take her. Snake nodded slowly, his eyes filled with understanding. You know we're with you, Hawk. Whatever it takes. We're all in. I know, Hawk said, his voice laced with emotion. That's what scares me. I don't want anyone getting hurt because of my promise to Jake. This isn't your fight. It's not just your promise anymore, Hawk. Snake countered, his voice firm. It's ours now too. We all saw that girl. We all heard her story. This is bigger than you. This is about protecting an innocent child. Hawk looked at the assembled riders, his family, his brothers and sisters, all of them here because he asked, willing to risk everything for a girl they barely knew. He was overwhelmed by their loyalty, their unwavering support. I just hope we're doing the right thing, he said, his voice filled with doubt. We are, Hawk, Snake assured him, his hand gripping his shoulder. Sometimes the right thing looks like chaos, but that doesn't make it wrong. Sometimes you have to fight for what's right, even if it means breaking the rules. Diesel walked over, handing Hawk a fresh cup of coffee, his eyes filled with determination. Sun's coming up in 2 hours. Court's in 5. You ready for this? Hawk took a long drag of the coffee, the caffeine coursing through his veins. No, he admitted honestly. But we're going anyway. We have to. Maven joined them, his expression grim. Just got a text from Marcus. Morrison's lawyer filed another motion trying to delay the hearing. Claims he needs more time to prepare. Will it work? Hawk asked, his voice tight with anxiety. Marcus says no. Carrion hates delays. She'll see right through it. She'll hear it at 9 a.m. Come hell or high water. As if on cue, Torres appeared from the entrance, his face etched with concern. He walked over to them, his eyes darting nervously around the parking lot. Mr. Daniels, got a minute? Hawk nodded, his senses on high alert. They stepped aside, away from the others. Torres looked deeply uncomfortable, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. Look, I don't know the full story, but I've been watching the news, saw the coverage, and I called a buddy of mine who works Morrison's district, and he said Morrison's got a reputation. Short temper, complaints that never go anywhere. My buddy said he's not surprised about any of this. Why are you telling me this, Torres? You're risking your career. Because that little girl deserves better? Torres said, his voice filled with conviction. And because I got 2 daughters of my own. If someone was hurting them, I'd hope someone like you would show up. I'd pray that someone would be there to protect them. He paused, his gaze intense. I'm not supposed to say this, but if Morrison tries to take her before the hearing, I'll stall him. I'll give you time to get a judge on the phone. I'll do everything I can to help, without crossing the line. Hawk extended his hand, his gratitude overwhelming. Thank you, Torres. You don't know what this means to us. Torres shook his hand, his grip firm. Don't make me regret this, Daniels. Don't push me too far. You won't, Hawk promised, his voice sincere. Torres nodded and walked back inside, disappearing into the hospital. The sky was starting to lighten, the inky blackness of night slowly fading to gray, then to pale blue. The first rays of dawn were beginning to peek over the horizon, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Diesel checked his watch. 4.5 hours to go. Let's make sure everyone's ready. Fresh shifts, eyes on every door, and someone needs to get breakfast. We're going to need our strength for this. Whatever happens, it's going to be a long day. Maven stayed behind, his gaze fixed on Hawk, his expression serious. Hawk, what happens after the hearing if you win custody? Have you even thought about that? This is just the first step. What happens after today? Hawk sighed, rubbing his tired eyes. Then I figure out how to raise a 14-year-old girl. I haven't even thought about being a dad. But I guess I'm about to be. I guess I'll learn. You ready for that, Hawk? You ready to change your whole life for this girl? No, Hawk admitted. But I'll learn. I have to. She deserves a normal life. She deserves to be happy. She's gonna need more than just you, Hawk. She's gonna need therapy, support, stability. She's been through hell. Don't think you can do this alone. I know, Hawk said, his voice filled with determination. I'll figure it out. I'll get her whatever she needs. Maven put a hand on his shoulder, his eyes filled with compassion. You won't be doing it alone, Hawk. You got 97 people who just proved they'll drop everything for this girl. We're not walking away after today. We're family now. We're in this for the long haul. Hawk's voice caught in his throat, overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. I don't deserve you guys, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Probably not, Maven said with a grin. But you're stuck with us anyway. We ain't going anywhere. They stood there together as the sun began to rise, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, a symbol of hope in the darkness. 97 riders, 1 girl, 1 promise, and 5 hours until everything changed. By 6 a.m. The hospital parking lot looked like a military encampment, a testament to the unwavering support of the Steel Wolves. Riders sat on their bikes, drinking coffee, sharing stories, and offering words of encouragement. Others stretched cramped legs, preparing for the long day ahead. Rosa made rounds with a first aid kit, checking on anyone who looked worse for wear, tending to minor cuts and bruises, offering words of comfort and reassurance. After his all-night vigil, Hawk walked back upstairs to Lily's room, his body aching with exhaustion, his eyes burning, but his adrenaline pumping, keeping him sharp and focused. He pushed open the door to room 314 and stepped inside. Lily was awake, sitting up in bed, her eyes bright, a hint of a smile gracing her lips. Big Tommy sat in the corner, reading a book aloud, his voice deep and soothing. Something about dragons and knights, a world of fantasy and adventure. Uncle Hawk, Lily said, her voice stronger now, filled with hope. Hey kiddo, Hawk said, his voice soft, his heart swelling with affection. How you feeling? Did you sleep okay? Sore, but better, she replied, her eyes sparkling. Tommy was reading to me. It's a really good story. Big Tommy closed the book, marking his place with his finger. She's got good taste, this one. Fantasy novels are the best kind. A world away from reality. Her dad would have approved, Hawk said with a smile, his voice filled with fond memories. Jake loved that stuff. Used to read The Lord of the Rings on deployment. Said it helped him escape. It reminded him there was still magic in the world even when everything was dark. Really? Lily asked, her eyes wide with wonder. He never told me that. Yeah, Hawk confirmed, his voice gentle. He was a great guy, Lily. You would have been so proud of him. Tommy stood, stretching his long limbs. I'll give you two some privacy. You probably want to talk. Need anything before I go? We're good, Tommy. Thanks, Hawk said, his gratitude evident. Tommy nodded and left the room, closing the door softly behind him. Hawk pulled the chair closer to the bed, his eyes locking with Lily's. Lily, we need to talk about today, he said, his voice serious. About the hearing. Are you ready for this? Her face tensed, her brow furrowing with anxiety. Do I have to see him? She asked, her voice barely audible. Morrison? Yeah, Lily, he'll be there. He's not going to give up easily. But so will I. So will Marcus, your grandparents, and a courtroom full of people who believe you. You won't be alone. What if the judge doesn't believe me? What if she sides with him? Then we appeal, Hawk said, his voice firm, his eyes filled with determination. We keep fighting, Lily. We don't give up. We won't let him win. But Lily, he continued, his voice softening, I need you to be honest with the judge. Tell her everything about Morrison. About what he did to you. About your mom. Don't hold anything back. Don't be afraid. What if I can't? What if I freeze? What if I can't speak? Then Marcus will help you, Hawk reassured her. He'll ask you questions. You just answer them one at a time. Take your time. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be scared. Just tell the truth, Lily. That's all we need. She twisted the blanket in her hands, her knuckles white, her eyes filled with fear. What happens if I have to go back with him? What if the judge makes me go back? Hawk's voice hardened, his eyes blazing with protective fury. That's not happening, Lily. I won't let it. You are never going back to that house. You are never going to be alone with him again. But what if, Hawk? What if she orders me to go back? He took her hands in his grip firm, his eyes locked with hers. Look at me, Lily. You are never going back to that house. I don't care what any judge says, you're done with Morrison forever. I swear it. How can you promise that, Hawk? You can't just make promises like that. Because I have 97 people outside who won't let it happen, he said, his voice filled with conviction. Because your grandparents are driving here right now, ready to fight for you. Because a lawyer is fighting for you every step of the way. And because I'm not walking away again. Not ever. You'll never have to face him alone again. Tears streamed down her cheeks. A mixture of fear, relief, and gratitude. I'm so tired of being scared, she whispered, her voice breaking. I know, sweetheart, Hawk said, his voice filled with compassion. But after today, things change. We win this hearing. You come home with me. We'll start a new life. Everything's going to be different. Home with you? She asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Where? What's that even like? It's in Tucson, Hawk said, a hint of a smile gracing his lips. I got an apartment above my garage. It's not much, but it's safe. It's a little rough around the edges. But you'd have your own room. We'd make it work. Promise. What about school? I haven't been in school in months. We'll enroll you, Hawk said, his voice reassuring. Get you caught up. Whatever you need, we'll figure it out. We'll take it one step at a time. She wiped her eyes, trying to compose herself. Do you even know how to take care of a kid, Hawk? You've never been a dad. He laughed, the sound genuine, filled with hope. No, he admitted honestly. Not really, but I'll learn. Promise. I'll have help. Rosa is a nurse. Maven's raised 3 kids. Big Tommy's a teacher. You'll have a whole family helping. They'll teach me everything I need to know. Why would they do that? She asked, her voice filled with doubt. They don't even know me. Because you're Jake's daughter, Hawk said, his voice soft, his eyes filled with affection. And because good people show up when someone needs help. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been. A knock on the door interrupted their conversation. Marcus walked in, followed by a woman in her 60s, her gray hair neatly styled, her face etched with worry, but her eyes filled with kindness. She saw Lily and her hand flew to her mouth, her eyes widening with disbelief. Oh my God, Lily? She whispered, her voice trembling. Is it really you? Lily's eyes went wide, recognition flooding her face. Grandma? She gasped, her voice filled with disbelief. Carol Morrison rushed to the bed, her arms outstretched, wrapping them around Lily as gently as she could, both of them sobbing, tears streaming down their faces. I'm so sorry, baby, Carol whispered, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry we didn't know. I'm so sorry. He kept you from us. He told me, Lily choked out, her voice trembling. He told me you didn't want to see me, that you hated me. That's a lie, Carol said, her voice filled with anger. We called every week. We sent letters, presents. He said you were busy, that you didn't want to talk to us. We should have known. We should have fought harder. We should have done more. It's not your fault, Grandma, Lily whispered, her voice soft, her hand reaching out to touch Carol's face. I know you would have been there if you could. Bill Morrison appeared in the doorway, his face etched with pain, his jaw clenched tight, older, weathered, ex-military like his son, but with a look of deep sorrow in his eyes. He saw Lily and his face crumbled, tears streaming down his cheeks, but he didn't make a sound. He walked slowly to the bed, his hand trembling as he reached out and put it on Lily's head, his touch gentle, filled with love. Your dad would be so proud of you, sweetheart, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. He was a good man, the best man I knew. I miss him, Grandpa, Lily said, her voice filled with grief. Me too, Bill replied, his voice barely audible. Every day, he's always with us. Hawk stepped back, giving them space, allowing them to have their moment. Marcus pulled him aside, his expression serious. They drove all night to get here, Marcus said quietly. Carol's prepared to testify about Morrison's isolation tactics. She's kept records. Bill's got documentation of every time they tried to contact Lily and were blocked. Emails, phone logs, everything. That's good, Hawk said, his voice filled with relief. That helps. The judge needs to see what kind of man Morrison really is. There's more, Marcus continued, his voice low. I did some digging. Morrison's got 3 excessive force complaints from his early career. All buried. Never went anywhere. But they're on record. They were quietly swept under the rug. Can we use that? Hawk asked, his eyebrows raised. Not directly, Marcus replied. But it establishes a pattern. It shows that he's got a temper, a history of violence. Judge Carrion will see it. It'll paint a picture. What about the murder allegation? Sarah's death? Can we prove he killed her? Marcus's face darkened. His expression grim. That's harder. The official report says accidental death, single car collision, blood alcohol was. Morrison's statement said she'd been drinking all evening. It was all neatly wrapped up. But Lily says she saw him push her. She says it wasn't an accident. I know, but without physical evidence. It's her word against a dead woman's autopsy. We can raise questions, but we can't prove it. Not yet. What do we need, Marcus? What can we do to prove what really happened? The car, Marcus said, his eyes narrowing. If we could examine the wreckage, maybe find signs of tampering or witnesses, someone who saw them fighting that night. Something that proves it wasn't an accident. Hawk pulled out his phone, scrolled through his contacts, and found Diesel's number. I got an idea, he said, his voice filled with purpose. Give me a minute. He stepped into the hallway, closed the door behind him, and dialed Diesel's number. Yeah, I need someone to track down a wrecked car, he said, his voice low. Sarah Morrison died in a single vehicle accident 2 years ago. Find out where the car ended up. Junkyard, impound, wherever it is. Get it done now. What are we looking for, Hawk? Diesel asked, his voice businesslike. What are we trying to find? Anything that suggests it wasn't an accident, Hawk replied. Anything that seems out of place. Something that points to foul play. You got anyone good with cars? Anyone who knows what to look for? Rico used to be a mechanic, Diesel said, his voice thoughtful. He knows his way around an engine. If there's something to find, he'll find it. Get him on it now, Diesel. We need answers before that hearing. Before Morrison walks away with Lily. Copy that, Hawk, Diesel said, his voice filled with determination. I'll get on it right away. We'll get you some answers. Hawk hung up the phone, his mind racing, his heart pounding with a mixture of hope and fear. He walked back into the room, his expression resolute. Carol was still holding Lily, whispering words of comfort and encouragement to her. Bill stood nearby, his arms crossed, his jaw tight, his eyes filled with a mixture of grief and anger. Bill, Hawk said, his voice firm. Can I talk to you for a minute? Bill nodded slowly, his eyes meeting Hawk's. They stepped into the hallway, away from Lily and Carol. You really think Morrison killed Sarah? Bill asked, his voice barely audible, his eyes filled with pain. Lily says she saw it, Hawk replied, his voice unwavering. That's enough for me. I believe her. Bill's fists clenched, his knuckles turning white. If he did, he said, his voice trembling with rage. If he touched my daughter, if he harmed her in any way, I swear I'll. Then we put him away legally, Hawk interrupted, his voice firm. We do this right. We do it the way Jake would have wanted. Right? Bill spat the word out, his eyes blazing with anger. Jake did things right, got himself killed. Sarah tried to do things right, ended up dead. Maybe right isn't enough anymore. Maybe it's time for some old-fashioned justice. Bill, I get it, Hawk said, his voice filled with understanding. I know how you feel, but if we go after Morrison ourselves, we lose. He's a cop. We're bikers and veterans. They'll paint us as criminals and he walks free. We have to beat him in court. We have to expose him for what he is. And if we can't? Bill asked, his voice low, his eyes filled with doubt. What if we can't prove it? What if the judge sides with him? Hawk met his eyes, his gaze unwavering. Then we make sure Lily never goes back, he said, his voice filled with determination. Whatever it takes. I won't let her be alone with him again. Bill studied him, his eyes searching, trying to gauge his sincerity. You really mean that, Daniels? He asked, his voice barely audible. You'd do anything to protect her? On Jake's grave, Hawk swore, his voice filled with conviction. I made him a promise. I won't let him down. Bill nodded slowly, his shoulders slumping, his anger subsiding. All right, he said, his voice resigned. We play it your way for now. We trust the system. We hope for the best. They walked back into the room, their expressions grim, their minds racing with possibilities. Marcus was checking his watch, his face creased with worry. We need to leave in 90 minutes, he said, his voice urgent. Courthouse is 20 minutes away. We should get there early. Establish a presence. Show them we mean business. What about Lily? Rosa asked, her voice filled with concern. She's technically not discharged yet. Can she even leave? Dr. Warren signed off this morning, Marcus replied, his voice reassuring. Against medical advice discharge. I've got the paperwork right here. Legally, we're in the clear. Lily looked at Hawk, her eyes filled with anxiety. I have to go like this? She asked, her voice barely audible, gesturing to her hospital gown. I can't go to court like this. Carol opened a bag, her eyes filled with compassion. I brought clothes, sweetheart, she said, her voice gentle. Something simple, comfortable. I thought you might want to wear something nice. How did you? Lily asked, her eyes wide with surprise. I still have some of your mom's things from when she was your age, Carol replied, her voice soft, her eyes filling with tears. I thought you might want to wear something of hers today, something that would make you feel close to her. Lily's face crumpled, tears welling in her eyes. Really? She whispered, her voice filled with hope. You have something of hers? Really? Carol confirmed, her voice choked with emotion. She helped Lily change, carefully slipping the simple blue dress over her head. It was nothing fancy, but it fit her perfectly. And when Lily looked in the mirror, she saw her mother staring back at her, her eyes filled with love, her spirit shining through. She's with you today, Carol whispered, her voice filled with emotion. She's with you every day. She'll always be with you. By 7:30, they were ready to move. Hawk walked downstairs first, his senses on high alert, his eyes scanning the surroundings, looking for any sign of trouble. The lobby was packed now, filled with people. A mix of emotions etched on their faces. Not just steel wolves but other people too. Hospital staff on their breaks, visitors who'd heard the story, even a few cops in civilian clothes who'd shown up to offer their support. their faces grim, their intentions clear. Torres approached, his expression serious. Mr. Daniels, we're clearing a path to your vehicles, he said, his voice low. Media's outside. It's a circus. They're everywhere. Let them watch. Hawk replied, his voice firm, his eyes filled with determination. The world needs to see what's happening here. The world needs to know what Morrison's done. Morrison's lawyer filed for a gag order this morning, Torres said, trying to silence you. Judge denied it. Said the public has a right to know. The truth has to come out. Hawk smiled, a flicker of hope igniting within him. Good, he said, his voice filled with satisfaction. Let them watch. Let them listen. Let them judge. Diesel met him at the entrance, his face grim, his eyes filled with determination. We're ready, he said, his voice low. 40 riders will escort you to the courthouse. The rest will meet us there. We're ready for anything. Rico's already at the junkyard, Diesel continued. He's got eyes on Sarah's car. Here's the translation and expansion of the provided text, styled for maximum creativity and depth. With her father, Jake Morrison, back in Afghanistan. Before Jake drew his last breath, he extracted a promise from me. A solemn vow to watch over his little girl. I'm her godfather, you see. And did you maintain contact with Lily after Jake's passing? The lawyer probed. Yes, for years. I made sure she was never wanting for anything, sent money religiously, called every month like clockwork, even visited on birthdays, bearing gifts and smiles, until her stepfather made it abundantly clear that my presence was no longer welcome, that the door to their lives was firmly shut to me. When did that unpleasantness occur? What about 2 years ago, after Sarah, Lily's mother, met her untimely end? And what transpired then? Morrison, that snake, he severed all ties, wouldn't return calls, wouldn't allow me to visit, his silence a deafening wall between us. I persisted for months, banging my head against that wall. Eventually, shamefully, I stopped trying. That's my biggest regret, the weight of it crushing me even now. What prompted you to reach out again, to break through that wall of silence? I received a call from a social worker, a jarring wake-up call at 2:47 a.m. 2 days ago. She delivered the grim news. Lily was in the hospital, her small body riddled with injuries. It was then, in that moment of stark clarity, that I knew I'd failed her, that I had to step up and make things right, to become the shield her father entrusted me to be. Kessler rose to his feet, an objection brewing on his lips. Objection, Your Honor. The witness is indulging in conjecture, offering conclusions rather than verifiable facts. Sustained, Judge Carrion ruled, her voice sharp. Mr. Daniel, confine your testimony to your direct observations and actions. Marcus pressed on, relentless. What did you observe when you arrived at the hospital? When you finally laid eyes on Lily, the 14-year-old girl, her eyes wide with terror, her small frame bearing the marks of brutality. 3 broken ribs, a fractured wrist held together by a cast, and bruises, angry purple welts, covering her back like a grotesque map of suffering. She was petrified, cowering as if expecting another blow. She whispered to me, her voice barely audible, that her stepfather, Daniel Morrison, was responsible for her torment, that he had inflicted those injuries, and then the bombshell. She claimed he had killed her mother. The courtroom erupted in chaos. Whispers turned to gasps, then to a cacophony of horrified murmurs. Carrion slammed her gavel, struggling to restore order. Order, Mr. Daniels, that is a grave accusation. A thunderbolt thrown into this court. Do you possess tangible evidence to substantiate this claim? I have Lily's testimony, her first-hand account of the events, and I have investigators actively looking into the circumstances surrounding the accident that claimed Sarah Morrison's life, peeling back the layers of deceit. Kessler shot up, his face contorted with outrage. Your Honor, this is unconscionable. There was a thorough police investigation at the time. Sarah Morrison's death was officially ruled an accident. Mr. Daniels is engaging in slander, impugning my client's character with baseless allegations. Mr. Kessler, sit down. I will determine what is baseless and what is not. Carrion fixed Marcus with a penetrating stare. Mr. Wellington, do you have concrete, irrefutable evidence of foul play in Sarah Morrison's death? Not yet, Your Honor, but we are actively pursuing every lead, every shadow of doubt. We respectfully request a continuance to allow us to. Request denied. We are here to assess Lily's immediate safety, to determine her well-being, not to reopen a closed case. Move on, Mr. Wellington. Marcus nodded, acknowledging the judge's ruling. Mr. Daniels, why did you bring a veritable army, 97 individuals, with you to the hospital? Because I wanted Lily to know, unequivocally, that she wasn't alone, that she had a family, a tribe, who cared deeply for her well-being, who would stand by her side. And because, frankly, I was afraid that Morrison would try to snatch her away, to spirit her back into his house of horrors before we could secure a hearing, before we could get her to safety. Did Morrison attempt to do that? He did. He showed up, flanked by a phalanx of lawyers, demanding her immediate discharge, attempting to strong-arm the hospital staff. If we hadn't been there, a united front, she'd be back in his clutches right now, vulnerable and alone. No further questions, Your Honor. Kessler rose, his demeanor smooth, almost oily, as he approached the witness stand. A disingenuous smile plastered on his face. Mr. Daniels, you stated that you are Lily's godfather. Is that a legally recognized designation, or merely a personal title, a term of endearment? Personal. Jake asked me in his final moments to watch over her, to guide her, but there's no legal documentation, no court order, no formal arrangement etched in stone. No. So, legally speaking, you're just a friend of the family, an acquaintance offering support. I'm the man her father trusted implicitly, the man he chose to safeguard his daughter's future. Her father, who passed away 16 years ago. Hawk's jaw clenched, his patience wearing thin. Yes. And in those 16 years, how many times did you actually see Lily, interact with her, actively participate in her life? I don't know precisely. 20, maybe 30 times. 20 or 30 times in 16 years. That's less than twice a year, a fleeting presence at best. Perhaps Mr. Morrison cut you off, as you claim, or perhaps you simply stopped trying, your dedication waning with time. Maybe you moved on with your own life, relegated the promise you made to a dying man to the back burner, forgot about the little girl you swore to protect. Objection. Marcus interjected, his voice rising in indignation. Argumentative, Your Honor. Sustained. But Kessler wasn't finished. his voice laced with venom. Mr. Daniels, you're a member of a motorcycle club called the Steel Wolves, correct? Correct. Yes. And how would you characterize that organization? What is its primary purpose? It's a veterans group, a brotherhood of individuals who served their country, who understand the true meaning of loyalty, of sacrifice. Do any of these members, these brothers, have criminal records? Are their pasts as pristine as you would have us believe? Hawk hesitated, choosing his words carefully. Some minor things, traffic violations, a few bar fights fueled by youthful exuberance. A few bar fights, Kessler repeated, his smile widening, a predatory glint in his eyes. And you thought that bringing 97 individuals, some with known criminal histories, to a hospital, to a delicate situation involving a minor, was appropriate? Was that an act of guardianship or intimidation? They're good people, loyal and protective, who care deeply for Lily's well-being. Are they? Or are they, in reality, a gang, a menacing presence meant to exert undue influence? You intended to intimidate hospital staff and law enforcement, didn't you? We didn't intimidate anyone. We were there to ensure Lily's safety and to show our support. Really? Because I have sworn statements from nurses who felt threatened, security guards who had to call for backup, police officers who were physically blocked from entering the hospital. That's not true. We remained peaceful, respectful. We adhered to every rule and regulation. Mr. Daniels, isn't it true that you haven't held a steady job in 3 years, that your financial situation is precarious at best? Marcus stood, his voice ringing with objection. Relevance, Your Honor? This line of questioning is irrelevant to the matter at hand. It goes to the petitioner's fitness as a guardian, his ability to provide for a minor child. I'll allow it. Answer the question, Mr. Daniels. Hawk's face burned with a mixture of anger and humiliation. I run my own garage. I rebuild cars, breathe new life into discarded machines. Steady enough. Steady enough. Do you have health insurance? No. Savings? A nest egg to provide for unforeseen expenses? Some. How much, Mr. Daniels? Be precise. I don't know exactly. Maybe $3,000. And you honestly believe that you can adequately provide for a 14-year-old girl on a mechanic's income, with no health insurance and a meager $3,000 in savings? Is that the kind of security and stability you offer? I'll make it work. I'll do whatever it takes. Will you? Or will Lily end up living in a cramped one-bedroom apartment above a dusty garage with a man who barely knows her, who can't afford to take care of her basic needs? Is that the future you envision for her? I know her better than Morrison ever did, than that monster ever will. Do you? When is her birthday? Hawk froze, his mind a blank slate. August. What day? Be specific, Mr. Daniels. He didn't know. Mr. Daniels, I don't remember the exact date. August 15th. Her favorite color? Silence. Purple. Her favorite food? Again silence. Chicken Alfredo. Mr. Daniels, you don't know this girl. You knew her father, a man you clearly respected. But that's not the same thing as knowing his daughter. Hawk's voice was low, barely audible. I know she's not safe with Morrison. That's all that matters. Based on what? Her word? She's a traumatized child who just lost her mother 2 years ago. Children act out, they seek attention, they blame their parents for their misfortunes. They embellish stories, create fantasies to cope with their pain. She didn't make this up. I know it in my gut. How can you be so sure? You weren't there. You haven't been there for years. A ghost in her life. I know because I've seen her bruises, the physical manifestation of her suffering. I've heard her fear, the tremor in her voice, and I trust her. I believe her implicitly. Kessler smiled. A chilling, dismissive gesture. Trust. That's a noble sentiment, a heartwarming ideal, but this court deals in facts, not feelings. We rely on evidence, on verifiable truths, not on blind faith. No further questions. Hawk stepped down from the witness stand. His shoulders slumped, his spirit deflated. He sat beside Lily, his heart heavy. His hands were shaking, betraying his inner turmoil. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and concern. It's okay, Uncle Hawk. I don't remember my birthday sometimes either. It's not a big deal. He almost laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. He almost cried, overwhelmed by her resilience and his own inadequacy. Marcus stood, his resolve unwavering. Your Honor, the petitioner calls Lily Morrison to the stand. Lily's face went white, all color draining from her cheeks. Her breath hitched in her throat, a silent gasp of fear. She stood slowly, her legs trembling beneath her. Carol squeezed her hand, offering a silent message of support before letting go. You can do this, sweetheart, she whispered, her voice filled with love and encouragement. Lily walked to the witness stand as if she were walking to her own execution, each step heavy with dread. The bailiff held out a Bible, its pages worn and familiar. Her hand trembled as she placed it on top, her fingers barely grazing the leather cover. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do, she whispered. Her voice barely carried across the courtroom, a fragile thread in the tense silence. Judge Carrion leaned forward, her expression softening slightly. Lily, I know this is a difficult and scary experience, but I need to hear from you. In your own words, take your time. If you need a break, just say so. We're here to listen, to understand. Okay, Lily responded, barely audible. Okay. Marcus approached gently, his demeanor calm and reassuring. Lily, can you tell the court your full name? Lily Ann Morrison. How old are you, Lily? I'll be 15 in August if I make it that far. Do you know why you're here today, Lily? Because I told them what he did to me, the truth I've held inside for so long. Who is he, Lily? Who are you referring to? Daniel Morrison, my stepfather, the man who is supposed to protect me. Can you tell the judge what happened 2 nights ago, Lily? Tell us everything you remember, as clearly as you can. Lily's hands twisted nervously in her lap, her knuckles white. He came home late as he always did. He was angry, his face flushed, his eyes glazed over. He'd been drinking, I could smell it on his breath. And he gets mean, so mean when he drinks. How did you know he was drinking, Lily? What gave it away? I could smell it, the sour stench of alcohol clinging to him like a shroud. And he slurs his words, his temper flares up like a match, and he gets this cold, hard look in his eyes that makes my stomach churn. What happened next, Lily? Take your time. He asked where dinner was, his voice a low growl. I told him I'd made spaghetti, but it was cold because he was 3 hours late, lost in his world of alcohol. He said I was disrespectful, that I talked back too much, that I was ungrateful for everything he provided. Did he say anything else, Lily? He said I was just like my mother, that she was ungrateful too, that she never appreciated anything he did for her. That's when I told him to stop talking about her, to leave her memory in peace. And what did he do then, Lily? Lily's voice dropped to a near whisper, barely audible above the hushed silence of the courtroom. He grabbed my arm, his fingers digging into my flesh, twisted it behind my back until I cried out in pain. He said I needed to learn respect, that I needed to understand my place. I tried to pull away, to break free from his grasp, and he shoved me with all his might. I lost my balance and fell, crashing into the table. That's when I heard the crack. The crack, Lily? What crack? My ribs. 3 of them broke when I hit the table. A searing pain that shot through my chest, stealing my breath. Marcus paused, allowing the weight of her words to sink in, to permeate the courtroom. What happened after you fell, Lily? I couldn't breathe. The pain was so intense, so all-consuming. I was crying, gasping for air. He stood over me, his face a mask of rage, and said if I told anyone, if I breathed a word of what happened, he'd say I fell down the stairs. He said no one would believe me, that I was a liar and a troublemaker. Did he help you, Lily? Did he offer you any comfort or assistance? No, he just left me there, writhing in pain, gasping for breath. He went to his room, slammed the door, and left me to suffer alone. I laid there on the floor for 2 hours before I could even move, before I could summon the strength to reach for the phone. Then, finally, I called 911, praying someone would believe me. You called yourself, Lily? You summoned help for yourself? Yes. Why didn't Daniel call, Lily? Why didn't he seek medical attention for you? Because he didn't care if I died. Because he wanted me to suffer. Because he hates me. The courtroom was silent, completely still, as if time itself had stopped. Marcus continued, his voice gentle but firm. Lily, has Daniel Morrison hurt you before? Has he ever physically harmed you in the past? Yes, she whispered, her voice barely audible. How many times, Lily? Can you give us an estimate? I don't know. A lot. Since my mom died, he's been different, angrier, more violent. Can you describe some of those times, Lily? Can you recount specific instances of abuse? Lily took a shaky breath, her eyes filled with tears. He slapped me once for getting a B on a test, said I was a disappointment. He locked me in my room for a whole day without food or water because I asked to see my grandparents, because I dared to express my love for them. He broke my phone when he found out I tried to call Uncle Hawk, because he didn't want me to have any contact with the outside world. Her voice cracked, tears streaming down her face. He told me every day that I was worthless, that I was a burden, that my mom left because of me, that I ruined his life. Lily, you told Mr. Daniel something about your mother, about the circumstances surrounding her death. Can you tell the judge what you told him, Lily? Can you share the truth you've been carrying for so long? Kessler shot to his feet, his face a mask of indignation. Objection, Your Honor. This is beyond the scope of this hearing. Sarah Morrison's death was thoroughly investigated and officially closed. Reopening this case based on the whims of a child is irresponsible and prejudicial. Judge Carrion held up a hand, silencing him. I'll allow it, Mr. Kessler. But Lily, I need you to understand the gravity of this situation. What you say here is under oath, and perjury is a serious offense. Do you understand what that means, Lily? Yes, ma'am, she whispered. It means I can't lie. I have to tell the truth, no matter how painful it is. That's right, Lily. So, I need you to tell me exactly what you saw, what you experienced firsthand. Not what you think happened, not what someone told you, but what you actually saw with your own eyes. Lily nodded, took a deep breath, and began to speak, her voice trembling but resolute. The night my mom died, they were fighting, screaming at each other. I was upstairs in my room, but I could hear everything through the thin walls. What were they fighting about, Lily? Money. Mom found bank statements, hidden accounts she didn't know about. She said he was hiding money from her, lying to her. He said it was none of her business, that she was being nosy and controlling. She said she was taking me and leaving, that she couldn't live with him anymore. What happened then, Lily? He told her she wasn't going anywhere, that she was trapped. She tried to walk away, to escape his anger. He grabbed her arm, his grip tight and bruising. She pulled free, her eyes flashing with defiance. And then he pushed her down the stairs. Gasps rippled through the courtroom, a wave of shock and disbelief washing over the onlookers. Did you see this happen, Lily? Did you witness him pushing her? I opened my door. I saw her fall, tumbling down the stairs, her body twisting and contorting. I saw him standing at the top of the stairs, his face a mask of cold indifference. What did you do then, Lily? I ran down the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest. She wasn't moving. Her body sprawled at the bottom of the staircase. Blood was coming from her head, a dark stain spreading on the carpet. I screamed for him to call 911 to get help. He came down the stairs slowly, his eyes vacant. He checked her pulse, his expression unchanging. Then he looked at me, his eyes filled with a chilling emptiness, and said, She's drunk. She just fell down the stairs. That's what happened. You understand? What did you say, Lily? I said we needed to call an ambulance, that she was seriously injured. He said no, that it would be too much trouble. He picked her up, her body limp and lifeless, and carried her to the garage. He put her in the car, started the engine, and drove away. I tried to stop him, to reason with him, but he locked me in the house, trapping me inside. How long was he gone, Lily? I don't know, maybe an hour. Time seemed to stand still, each second stretching into an eternity. When he came back, he was crying, pretending to be grief-stricken. He told me there had been an accident, that Mom had crashed into a tree, that she was gone forever. Did you tell anyone what you saw, Lily? Did you confide in anyone about the truth of what happened that night? I tried. I told the police officers who came to the house, but Daniel was there, looming over me, silencing me. He kept saying I was confused, that I was traumatized, that I didn't know what I was saying. They believed him, a respected police officer, rather than a grieving 12-year-old girl. Why didn't you tell your grandparents, Lily? Why didn't you seek their help? He wouldn't let me talk to them. He forbade me from contacting them, from sharing my grief and my fears. He said if I ever told anyone what really happened, he'd make sure I ended up in foster care, that no one would believe me because he was a cop, that I'd lose everyone I loved. Did you believe him, Lily? Yes, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I was 12. I was scared. I didn't know what to do, who to trust. Marcus let the silence hang in the air, a heavy weight pressing down on the courtroom. Then softly he asked, Lily, do you feel safe with Daniel Morrison? No, she sobbed, her voice choked with emotion. Do you want to go back to his house, Lily? No, please don't make me go back. I'm afraid he'll hurt me again. If the judge allows it, would you want to live with Mr. Daniels with Uncle Hawk? Yes, I trust him, and I trust the people who came for me, the steel wolves who showed me that I'm not alone. No further questions, Your Honor. Kessler stood, his expression hardening, the friendly mask slipping away to reveal the ruthless lawyer beneath. Lily, I'm sorry for what you've been through. I truly am. But I need to ask you some difficult questions. Can you handle that, Lily? Can you face the truth? She nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination. You said your mother and Daniel were fighting about money, about hidden bank accounts. How did you know what was in those bank statements, Lily? I heard them fighting, their voices raised in anger. But you were upstairs behind a closed door. I could still hear them, their voices echoing through the house. Could you, Lily? Or did you piece together what you think you heard, filling in the gaps with your imagination? I know what I heard, she insisted, her voice trembling. Lily, you were 12 years old when your mother died. You had just lost your biological father a few years before. You were grieving, confused, traumatized. Isn't it possible that your memories are unreliable, that your perception is distorted? No. Isn't it possible that you saw your mother fall accidentally and your young mind created a different narrative, a more sinister explanation? He pushed her. I saw it. You saw it through a cracked door, from the top of the stairs, in the dim light. Your view was limited, wasn't it? I saw enough, she insisted, her voice rising in defiance. Kessler paced before her, his movements deliberate and calculated. Let's talk about the night you were injured, Lily. You said Daniel came home drunk and angry. How drunk was he, Lily? I don't know exactly. He smelled like alcohol. 1 drink, 5 drinks, 10 drinks? Can you say for certain how impaired he was? I don't know. He was mean, that's all I know. Mean, Lily, or simply enforcing house rules? You admitted that you talked back to him, that you were disrespectful. I didn't. You said you told him dinner was cold because he was late. That's talking back. Isn't it? That's defiance. I was just explaining why the food was cold, and when he asked you to show respect, you refused. You argued with him because you thought he was being unfair. He was being unfair. Fair or not, Lily, he's the parent, the adult in charge. You're the child. Isn't it his job to discipline you, to guide you, to teach you right from wrong? Marcus stood, his voice rising in protest. Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is blaming the victim, attempting to justify the abuse. Your Honor, I'm establishing context, painting a complete picture of the events. Overruled, but tread carefully, Mr. Kessler. Kessler continued, his voice relentless. Lily, you said you fell into a table and broke 3 ribs, but the medical report shows the breaks are consistent with impact trauma. They could have come from a fall, an accident. He pushed me, she insisted, tears streaming down her face. Or you lost your balance during an argument and fell, striking the table in your descent. Accidents happen, Lily, especially when emotions are high, when tempers flare. It wasn't an accident. How can you be sure, Lily? Were you focused on your footing, or were you focused on arguing, on defying Daniel? I know the difference between falling and being pushed. Do you, Lily? Because a traumatized 14-year-old who's already lost both parents might see violence where there's only tragedy, might misinterpret events through a lens of grief and fear. Lily's face flushed, her voice trembling with indignation. I'm not making this up. I'm not saying you are, Lily. I'm saying your perception might be clouded by grief and anger, that your memories might be distorted by the pain you've endured. My perception is fine. He hurt me. He's been hurting me for years, and he killed my mother. Kessler's voice sharpened, his tone accusatory. That's a very serious accusation, Lily. If it's true, why didn't you tell anyone for 2 years? Why did you remain silent for so long? I did tell someone. I told the police the night she died, but the police report says you were hysterical, incoherent, in a state of shock. The responding officers noted that you were traumatized, not a reliable witness. Because I watched my mother die. Exactly, Lily. You were in shock, traumatized, not a reliable witness. I know what I saw. Do you, Lily? Or have you spent 2 years convincing yourself of something that isn't true, creating a false memory to cope with your grief? Objection. Marcus was on his feet, his voice ringing with outrage. Your Honor, this is harassment, pure and simple. Judge Carrion nodded, her expression grim. Mr. Kessler, wrap it up. Lily, final question. If Daniel Morrison is such a monster, as you claim, why did you stay? You're 14 years old. You could have run away, called your grandparents, told a teacher, confided in a friend. Why didn't you seek help, Lily? Lily's voice broke, her words choked with sobs. Because I was scared. Because he told me no one would believe me, that I was alone in the world. Because I didn't want to lose the only home I had left, even if it was a house of horrors. Because I'm just a kid, and I didn't know what else to do. Kessler nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. No further questions. Lily stepped down from the witness stand, her body shaking so hard she could barely walk. Carol met her halfway, wrapped her arms around her, and guided her back to her seat. Hawk wanted to tear Kessler apart, to rip him limb from limb. He wanted to drag Morrison outside and make him pay for every tear on Lily's face, for every moment of pain and suffering he had inflicted. But he sat still, his fists clenched, his jaw tight, his rage simmering beneath the surface. Marcus stood, his voice calm but firm. Your Honor, the petitioner calls Carol Morrison to the stand. Carol took the stand, composed herself, and answered the oath, her voice clear and steady. Mrs. Morrison, what is your relationship to Lily? I'm her grandmother. Jake Morrison was my son, Lily's father. When was the last time you saw Lily before yesterday? Mrs. Morrison. 2 years ago, at Sarah's funeral, she said, her voice laced with sadness. Why so long, Mrs. Morrison? Why did you wait so long to see your granddaughter? Daniel wouldn't let us see her. Daniel shut us out of her life. We called every week, eager to hear her voice, to offer her comfort. He always had an excuse. She was busy, she was studying, she didn't want to talk. We drove to Albuquerque 3 times, desperate to see her, to hold her in our arms. He wouldn't even let us in the house, barring the door as if we were intruders. Did Lily ever try to contact you, Mrs. Morrison? Once, about 6 months after Sarah died. She called from a friend's phone, her voice small and frightened. She said she missed us, that she wanted to visit, that she longed to be with us. We were arranging the details when Daniel called back, furious. He said we were interfering, that we needed to respect his boundaries, that we were unwelcome in their lives. After that, the calls stopped completely, her voice silenced. Did you ever suspect abuse, Mrs. Morrison? Did you ever fear for Lily's safety? Carol's voice wavered, her eyes filling with tears. I suspected something was wrong, that Lily was suffering in silence. But Daniel was a police officer, a pillar of the community. Everyone spoke highly of him, praising his character and his dedication. I thought maybe it was just grief, that Lily was pulling away because of her mother's death, that she needed time to heal. I should have pushed harder, should have fought for her. I should have. She broke down, her body racked with sobs. I should have protected her. Mrs. Morrison, do you believe Lily's account of what happened to her mother? Yes, absolutely, she said, her voice filled with conviction. Sarah called me the night she died, her voice trembling with fear. She said she'd found evidence that Daniel was hiding money, that he was planning something sinister. She was planning to leave to take Lily far away from him. She asked if Lily could come stay with us for a while, to escape the storm that was brewing. I said yes, of course, anything to protect her. 2 hours later, she was dead. Kessler stood, his face contorted with outrage. Objection, Your Honor. Here, this is inadmissible. Your Honor, Marcus said, his voice ringing with authority. This is a statement made by the victim shortly before her death. A desperate plea for help. It's admissible under the excited utterance exception. Judge Carrion considered the arguments, her expression thoughtful. I'll allow it. But Mrs. Morrison, what exactly did Sarah say? Recount her words as precisely as you can. She said, Mom, I found bank accounts I didn't know about, hidden from me, hundreds of thousands of dollars, stashed away in secret. When I confronted Daniel, he got angry, really angry. I'm scared, Mom. He's not the man I thought he was. Can Lily come stay with you? I need to get her out of here. I'm going to leave him. I told her to call the police to seek protection. She said, he is the police, Mom. There's no one to turn to. Those were the last words she said to me, her final plea for help. The courtroom erupted. A chorus of gasps and murmurs filling the air. Morrison was on his feet, his face flushed with rage. That's a lie. She never said that. This is a fabricated story, a malicious attempt to destroy me. Judge Carrion slammed her gavel, struggling to restore order. Officer Morrison, sit down. Control yourself. She's making it up. This is character assassination, a deliberate attempt to poison the minds of the court. Sit down now, Officer Morrison. I will not tolerate this outburst. Morrison's lawyers pulled him back into his seat, restraining him from further disrupting the proceedings. His face was red, his veins bulging in his neck, his eyes filled with hatred. Carrion looked at Carol, her expression stern. Mrs. Morrison, do you have phone records to verify this call? Yes, Your Honor. I brought them with me, a testament to her last moments. Bill stood and handed a folder to the bailiff, who presented it to the judge. Carrion examined the documents, her brow furrowed in concentration. This shows a 7-minute call from Sarah Morrison's cell phone to Carol Morrison's cell phone at 8:43 p.m. On the night of her death. She looked at Kessler, her gaze piercing. Your client claimed Sarah was drunk that evening, incapable of rational thought. Intoxicated people don't typically make coherent 7-minute phone calls, Mr. Kessler. Kessler recovered quickly, his voice smooth and controlled. Your Honor, we don't know the content of that call. Mrs. Morrison's testimony is her interpretation, a subjective account. Her interpretation is all we have, Mr. Kessler, since Sarah Morrison is dead, silenced forever. Continue, Mr. Wellington. Marcus turned back to Carol, his voice filled with compassion. Mrs. Morrison, if Lily were placed in Mr. Daniels' custody, would you support that arrangement? Yes, without hesitation. Hawk is a good man, a kind and compassionate soul. Jake trusted him with his life, entrusted him with the safety of his daughter. We trust him with Lily's life. No further questions. Kessler declined to cross-examine Carol, probably realizing he couldn't shake her without appearing like a bully, a heartless tormentor. Judge Carrion checked her notes, her expression thoughtful. Mr. Wellington, any other witnesses you wish to call at this time? Your Honor, we're expecting testimony regarding Sarah Morrison's accident. Evidence that will shed new light on the circumstances surrounding her death. But our witness is still gathering evidence, meticulously piecing together the truth. We respectfully request a brief recess to allow him to complete his investigation. Carrion checked the clock. It's 11:15. We'll break for lunch. We'll reconvene at 1 p.m. Mr. Wellington, you'll have your witness ready by then. Yes, Your Honor. Court is in recess. Everyone stood as Judge Carrion left the courtroom. Morrison stormed out, his lawyers struggling to keep pace with his anger. Hawk pulled out his phone, his fingers flying across the keyboard. He texted Diesel. Where's Rico? We need him now. A response came immediately. 5 minutes out. He found something big. Hawk showed the message to Marcus. Rico's coming. Says he found something. What? What did he find? Don't know yet, but if it's enough to prove Sarah's death wasn't an accident, then this whole thing flips. They walked out of the courtroom, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The hallway was packed. Lily Ki Noi, Kan Kong Doi, Rosa Kang Kang, Kan Kan and Gi Du, Fien Toa Chua Ket Tuk Dao, Hawk Ngoi Suang Kan Ko, Lily, Chung Ta Tim Thay Mot Thursday Roy, Sequami Khan, Fan Exida by Fa Hai, Cheek Nia Tren Te Lily Roy Suang Bon, Kulung Kong, Sai Gi, Ai Du De Kat Duong Dan Fan, Dulang Nguyen Nan Gay Ra Tai Nan, Kong Phi Tai Nan, Malahan Ta, Daniel De Lam, Chung Ta Chua Chung Min Duok Du Du, and Hung Chung Ta Si Kogang, Hawk Tranan, Got Kan Tin Chu Roy Chu, Marcus Teep Loy, Mua Nui Si Tin Kan Thoi, Luare Honan Tin Kan Nai Tu Dao, Carol Lai Kok, Bill Om Dao That Vong, Marcus Tho Dai, Tua Beat Ko Gi Du Kong on Vevu Tai Nan Du, and Hung Bao Sao Kwa Kan Sat Du Dong Engi Kwa Morrison Viet, Ho Chi Tin Loi Han, Ho Kong Du Tra Sao Han, and Hung Gio Chung Ta Dang Lam, Dung One Gio Chiu Ho Quay Lai Fong Suan, Lan Nai, Ku Vuk Kan Jia Kan Dong Han, Tin Tu Si De Lan Trian, De Kong Chi La Fin Toa Tran Chap Gwin Nui Kan Nua, De La Mot Kuak Du Tra Jiat Nuoi, Tam Fan Carrion Goi Veo Gi, Nin Tang Veo Marcus. Ong Wellington, Tua Hu Rang Ong Ko Bang Chung Moi. Thua Tam Fan, Dung Vei, Ben Nguyen Don Tru Tap Enrico Vesquez. Rico Buc Len Buck, Twin the Trin Bai Thong Tin Ka Nan, Marcus Tien Lai Gon. Ong Vesquez, Ne Engip Qua Ong La Gi, Tua Lado Mai O to Duak Chung Nan. 22 Nam Kin Niam, Chien Vi Tai Tau Tai Nan Va Kim Tron Tone Xe. Ong Ko Duak Yu Ka Kim Tra Mot Cheek Xe Lin Quan Den Viu on Nai Kong. Ko. Cheek Honda Accord 2013 Qua Sarah Morrison. So Lu True 743. Ong De Tim Thay Gi, Duong Dan Fanda by Cat Mot Catch Ko Chu Y. By Cat Mot Fan Bang Mot Loi Dao Sakban. Vet Cat Sach Se, Kong Rach, Kong and Mon. Mot Han Dong Fa Harai Ko Chu Y. Fong Su on Bung No. Tam Fan Carrion Lean Tuc Go Bua. Morrison Dung Bat Day. Tua Kong He Cham Veo Cheek Xe Du. Kinsat Morrison. Them Mot Lon Nguyen Gat Loi. Tua Si Fat Ong Vitoi Koi Thuong Toa On. Kaklet Su Qua Morrison Kio Ong Ta Suong. Ti Tam Controng Veo Tai Ong. Marcus Teep Tuc. Ong Vesquez. Theo White Kin Chuan Mon Quarong. Du Gise Zara Voy Mot Cheek Xe by Cat Duong Dan Fan. Sao Vi Dam Lai Xe. Dao Tui Luke Sero Re Hon Tone. Nuoi Lai Se Mat Fan O Tak Du Chow. Du Du Gay Tu Vong. Vik Nai Ko the Du How Mon Yao Nin Kong. Kong. Vet Cat Qua Chin Zak. Qua Sach. De La Han Dong Ko Y. Vet Cat Nai Duak Tukien Bao Lao Truak Kai Tai Nan. Du a Tren Kak Dao Huan Mon. Tua Yo Si Tin 24 Den 6 Geo. Vive. Bat Cuai Cat Duong Den Du Beat Sarah Se Lai Xe Veo Toi Ham Du. Fan Doi. Kessler Het Len. Sui Don. Chap Nan. Ong Wellington. Hey Bam Sat Su That. Kong Ko Ka Hoi Now Them. Kessler Tien Lai Gon. Ong Vesquez. Ong Noi Vet Cat Duak Tukien 24 Den 6 Geo Truak Kai Tai Nan. Ong Ko the Zak Den Ai de Tukien Vet Cat Du Kong. Kong. Ong Ko the Chuk Chan Rang Den Chu Qua Tuata Ogon Cheek Xe Du Kong. Kong. Vei Ti. Theo Nu Chung Ta Beat. Sarah Morrison Ko the Ko Ka Thursday. Ko the No Tien. Ko the. Fan Doi. Marcus Noi. Ben Song to Dang Sui Don. Rut Lai. Ong Vesquez. Ko Kanong Nuoi Kok the Cat Duong Den Fan Du Kong. Ko Kanong. Kong Ko Ka Hoi Now Them. And Hung Tak Hai de Zay Ra Mam Mongi Ngo de Duak Geo. Tam Fan Carrion Na Nuoi Ra Sao. Ko Quan Yu Du de Zemzet. Ong Wellington. Ong Delin He Voi Consat V Bang Chung Wan I Chua. Chung Tua San Song Lam Nu Vei Nai Lap Tuc. Thua Tam Fan. Hey Lam Vei. Boiv Nu and Hung Gi Ong Vesquez Noi La Dung. Chung Ta Dang Noi V Toi Jiat Nuoi. And Hung Nai Bai Geo. Tuakan Dua Ra Quiet in Ve Su and Tone Truak Mat Qua Lily. Bonin Morrison. Consat Morrison Dung Len. Ong Ta Dung Len. Huan Mat Tai Met. Consat Morrison Tuakong Beat Ong Ko Jiat Vio Min He Kong. Du La Vi Qua He Thong Tu Fa Pin Su. And Hung Tua Beat Du Nai. Ko Du Bang Chung Cho Fei Lily Kong and Tone Kai O Dui Su Cham Soc Quarong. And Hung Vet Thuong. Loi Kai. Kak Tin Teep. Tuakong the Luong Tom Cho Fep Gue Come Vina Voi Ong Trong Kai Cho Du Tra Them. Thua Tam Fan Tuakong. Tua Chua Noi Zong. Ko Hu Luke Nai Lap Tuc. Tua Treo Gwyn. Nui Con Con Cap Tam Boy Cho Thomas Daniels. Ong by Cam Lean Lak Voi Lily True Kai Thong Qua Kak Chuan Tam Ko Jiam Sat Duak Chap Thuan. Mot Fin Toa Zet Su Gwyn Nui Con Day Du Se Duak Len Lich Trong 30 Gay. Cho Den Luke Du. Con Bio Voi Ong Daniels. Cheek Bua Go Suong. Lily Bat Kok. And Hung Lan Nai La and Hung Jiat Nuak Mat Qua Sune Nam. Huan Mat Morrison Mio Ma. Kak Nuoi Dang Pham Sai Lam. Nu Tua Sai. Chung Ta Csua Chua No Trong 30 Gay. Fin Toa Ket Tuk. Mua Nuoi Dung Len. Morrison Zong Vi Phai Qua Ray. Dung Lioban Qua Hawk. Gisat Veo. Chui Nai Chua Ket Tuk Dao. Han Rit Len. Hawk Nintang Veo Mat Han. Ket Tuk Roy. Morrison Roy D. Kaklet Su Qua Han Voi Va Theo Sao. Hawk Quay Sang Lily. Kobe Oam Cham Le Koan. Nuke No. Kong Kong Phi Quay Lai Du. Kong Kong Phi Quay Lai Du. Kong Dao Nak A. Kanantone Roy. Kan Sev Na Voi Chu. Carol Va Bil Kung Tam Gia Veot Siom. And Hung Kan Soi Thep Trong Fong Su on Rio Ho. Nai Ca Nuoi Tihan on Kung Mim Koi. Marcus Bat Te Hawk. Chung Ta de Lam Duak. Kong Chung Ta de Ka Geo. Geo Chung Ta Phi Chung Min Han de Jiat Sarah. Vik Du La Qua Consat. And Hung Consat de Bao Che Cho Han Truak De Sa. Kong. Chung Ta Si Tu Jai Quiet Chian Nai. Ben Nguai Toa On. And Hung Kan Soi Thep Dang Cho Doi. Kai Lily Zut Hien. Ho Vio Oa. Rio Ho Vio Te. Maven Tien Ligon Du a Cho Kobe Mot Goi No. Dan Cho Kan Lily. Kobe Mora Ben Trong La Mot Cheek Ao Coacta. Ko Tre M. Coming Vio Sao Lung. Gia Din Soi Thep. Maven Noi. Kan La Mot Trong Chung Ta Roy. Gia Din Cham Soc Gia Din. Lily Mac No Veo. Vua Van Hon Hao. Diesel Buk Den. Hawk Snake Vua Goi. Morrison Kong Vi Na. Han Den Nan Hong. Rut Mot Koan Tien Lon. Bung Hawk That Lai. Bao Nu. 000 Du La Han Dang Botron. Du La and Hung Gi Twagi. Marcus Na Fei. Nu Han Botron Du La Thuan and Toi Loi. Va Nu Han Tron Thot. Lily Se Kong Bao Geo and Tone. Hawk Rut Dien Tho Ira. Goi Cho Snake. Han Dang O Dao. Dang DV Hung Dong Tren Duong I-40. Lai Xe and Han. Bam Theo Han. Dung De Han Quat Koi Tam Mat. Ro. Diesel Tien Lai Gon Han. Hawk. Kahoch La Gi. Chung Ta Kong the EP Han Ra Koi Duong. Du La Han Hung. Han 6 Tu Su. Chu Kong Din Lam Han by Thuong. Chu Chi Kan Nan Han Bien Mat. Va Nu Han Kong Yuan by Tim Fei. Ti Chung Tarasi Gay Duan Ao Dek and Sat 5 Veo Kuok. Jong Maven Vang Len Trong Tai Ne Qua Hawk. De Goi Cho Torres O Ben Veen. Jai Tik Tin Hin. On Ta Dang Lean Lak Voi Kan Sat Bang. Ho Dang Dudong Luke Luong Roy. Ta. Mat Bao Lao. 20 Foot. Ko the La 30. Morrison Ko the Deo Texas Veo Luke Du. Bei Ti Chung Ta Phi Ka Geo. Ho Tang Tak. And Hung Cheek Xe Lao Vut Tren Duong Chow Tak. And Hung Nuoi Lai Xe Kok Na Tran. Mot So Bam Koi. And Hung Nuoi Kok Rut Dien Tho Ira Quay Phim. Tom Tri Hawk Quay Quang. Nu Morrison Vut Qua Ran Gioi Bang. Vik Nai Setro Ton Lean Bang. Them New Fuk Tap. Them New Tri Hon. Them New Ko Hoi De Han Bien Mat. Dien Tho I on Rung Len. Tin Nan Tu Marcus. Dung lam du gi ngu ngoc. Heta kansatsu ly vik nai. On kong tra loi. Mo tiang rung kok. Lon nai la tu carol. Lily dang hoi chuo dao. Kan biso. On go lai bang mot te. Noi voi kan bi chu dang dam bao kan bi duok and tone. Se quay lai som. Phia truok. Jiao thong cham lai. Ku vuk se dung. And hung cheek non cam Thursday hep ba lon ton mot. Chet teet. Diesel lam bam qua bo dam. Chung tar si mat doi john o'day. And hung hawk nin thay mot loi di. Le duong du rong vuadu. Di theochu. Ju doi hin. On refi, di tren le duong vut qua and hung cheek exi dang dung lai. Koi inh oi. Ai du het len. And hung hoven teep tuc di trian. Maven theo sao. Roy diesel. Ba cheek exi luan la qua suhan lon. Mo cheek exi tuan tra duong chow tak dao o loi veo ku vuk se dung. Vien kan sat fat hien ra ho bat den hu. Chung ta ko ban dong han roy. Maven noi. Teep tuc di trian. Chung ta si jai tik sao. Cheek exi tuan tra tien len le duong. Ko gang dui theo. And hung thiet by zay dung de chan on talai. O tang koang catch. Jong snake. Tuathe kak on roy. Kak on dango phia sao koang 6 dam. Morrison vua ra koi loi ra 184. Dve hung nam tren quak lo 41. Duong du di dao. Vung sao vung xa. Duong sa mac. And hung ti tren no. Ko the dang ko gang lam chung talak. Hawk re ra koi duong chow tak mot catch gap gap. Enging nuoi veo qua. Cheek exi fan doi. And hung van ju duok tang bang. Quak lo 41 la duong hailon. Vang ve. Lo I duong ma nu oi tako the bien mat nu beat min dang di dao. Tuanin thay roy. Snake noi. Phia truok koang mot fan tu dam. Han dang jayam tak du. Tai sa han lai jayam tak du. Kong beat. Doi da han dang ri. Duong dat vi phia dong. Kong ko bien bao. Ju koang catch. Dung da han thay kak on. Hawk jayam tak du. Diesel va maven kung vei. O teep kan na ri mot catch den trong. Kan duong dat dan veo vung ke bui thap. Kong na qua. Kong song trin. Chi ko sa mac vio tan va ke bui ko hio. De lai mot tsai bay. Diesel noi. Han bi chung ta dang theo doi. Ho kan dang tuet vong va het duong lui. Do the now di nua. Chung ta dang by lo o day. Hawk tap veo lu. Tat mai. And hung nuoi kok kung lam theo. Snake dung xe sao du 30 ga. Hano trong du koang nua dam. Dung lai. Ching goi du. Dang lam gi. Kong beat. And hung xe han van no mai. Den bat. Maven suong xe. Leong nam tu yen xe. Quet kuvuk. Tuathe cheek xe roy. Morrison o ben trong. Ko vi nu han dang goi dien. Goi cho ai. Kong beat. And hung han dang rat kitch dong. Tu si john. Dien tho I hawk rung len. So la. Entra loi. You. Jong Morrison. Jong noi song tang. John du ko kim sot. Mai de quap di moi Thursday qua tau. Mai tu quap di moi Thursday kai mai dong veo kun bi. No noi doi. Tau kong bao geo cham veo no. Hoso yt noi kok. Hoso yt ko the duok jai tik theo nu catch. And hung mai de dao dok tam fan chong lai tau. Mang bang dang qua mai den de doa to on. Mai lam tau trong nu kotoi. Mai kotoi. Mai de jayat sarah. Morrison koi. Lan lung. K dang. Mai kong ko bang chung vi vik du. Chung tau ko duong dan fan. Chung tau ko loi kai qua rico. Chung tau ko kuak goi qua sarah chomi ko ai. Mua chien ket tuk roy Morrison. Chua ket tuk cho den kai tau noi la ket tuk. Mai din di dao. Ko hoch qua mai la gi. Chatron den Mexico. Lam lai tu dao. Tau kong chatron. Tau dang gi vi. Vi eat sai gi. Vi vi kuak song qua tau esi de dong han bao nu lily bien met. Mao hawk dong lai. Mai vua noi gi. Mai ne aro roy day. Moi van de qua tau esi bien mat nu no kong kan o day de lam chung. Kong konin chung. Kong ko vi yuan. Chi lar moti tai nin thuang tom. Mai dong veo no mai la nuoi chet. Loi noi swang. And hung mai kong the bao vi no mai. Mai ko dam biker qua mai. Tau ko on em aus and qua tau. Kan sat o cap tu bang. Mai gi ho esi de mai juno saw. Mai gi ho esi chan mot biker thay v mot nuoi trong so ho saw. Tam fan de lam roy. Gwyn nui con tam loi. Du kong phi la koi kung. Tau esi kang sao. Tau esi chien dao. Ba koi kung tau esi jian lai no. Chung ta esi zem. Jong Morrison no lai. De lan hung gisi za ra mai esi tu bo kuak thap tu chin nai. Mai esi noi voi tam fan rang mai de sai lam. Rang lily dang boi roy. Rang tau lai moti nuoi chatat. Nuoi de mac phi mot so sai lam trong dangia. And hung sung dang ko mot ko hoi kok. Du du esi kong bao geo zara. Veti tau sedam bao lily kong song. Du laudatron 15 tu oi. Mai dang de doa mot du a tray. Tau dang noi voi mai trian nai esi ket tuk nu the now nu mai kong rut lui. Te hawk seat chat dien thoi. Mai dango dao nai bai geo Morrison. Du gon. Du gon de lam gi. Du gon de ket tuk and hung gi tau de bat dao. Duong day im lang. Tim hawk dap thin tick. Han vua de doa lily. Chung tak and phi quay lai nai bai geo. Diesel de trio len xe. Goi cho rosa. Dam bao ko ida qua. Hawk queso. No du chuang bon lon. Nam sao. Ko len. Nak mai di. Koi kung. Hawk. Rosa lily dao. Kambi dango voi chow va ong ba. Chung ta dango koksan. Fong 412. Sauve. Ko chien gi kong on. Morrison vua de doa kun bi. Qua lai. Dung mo cho bet cuai. Chu dang siu big tommy va bie nuoi kok den bao vi kak chow. Chung ta dang tren duong quay lai. Hawk. On dang lam emso. Tot. Hey siu so di. Hey kan jiak. Chu esi goi cho kan sat. And hung cho den luk du. Siu cho rang han dang den tim kambi. On cup mai. Goi cho Torres. Torres. La Hawk. Morrison de doa lily truck teep trong mot kuak goi duok ghim. Twakan luke luong o cox and desert star fong 412 nai lap tuc. Cham lai. Honda noi gi. Han noi. Nu tau kong rut lui no esi kong song den 15 tu oi. Du la loi de doa giat mot tray 6 ton nian. On kan phi han dong nai. Torres chue the. Twi si bao sao. Siu yen du. Twi si den trong 20 foot. Goi ai du den du in han han. Hawk cup mai. Nin maven va diesel. Chung ta phi quay lai in han chong. Snake len tiang. Con Morrison Tisaw, Han Van Dang Goi Nguai Nai. Ada Kansat Bang Tim Han. Lily Quan Trong Han. Ho Trio Len Exi. Dong Ko Gamru. And Hung Truak Kai Ho Ko the Detrian. Snake Geote Len. Doi Da Han Dang Detrian Tiaro Lai. Hok Tat Mai. Hong Now. Maven Nong Ong Nam Len. Tro Lai Duong Chow Tak. Han Dang Dende. Are Koi Duong Nai. Ho Day Exi Veo Boy Ram. CY Thap Nuoi. Cho Doi. 30 Ga Sao. Cheek Charger Kwa Morrison Lao Kwa. Hong Kong Jiam Tak Du. Tam Chi Kong Leek Nin V Phia Ho. Han Dang Quay Lai Albuquerque. Diesel Noi. Han Dang Den Tim Lily. Hok Kong Cho Doi. On Koi Dong Xe. Lao Tiaro Lai Duong. Kuok Trui Dui Lai Bat Dao. And Hung Lan Nai Rue Ro Chow Han. Morrison to Ko Loi the. Ko Lu La 3 Dam. And Hung Hong Kong beat Hok Dang O Nai Sao Han. Ho Lao Len Duong I 40 V Hung Te Voi Tak Du Toi Da. Dong Ho Tak Du Kwa Hok Vut Kwa 90. Vut Kwa 100. Hok. Du Nai That Dianaro. Diesel Het Len Kwa Bo Dam. Chung Tar Si Gap Tai and Mat. Bei TCU Gap Tai and D. Chuesi Kong the Han Den Gon Con B. Jong Maven. Kansat Bang Vua Bao Kwa Radio. Ho Dang Thiat Lap MOT Chat Chan O Kot Mach 165. New Morrison Dang DV Hung Te. Ho Se Bat Duakan. New Han D Duong Vong Tisaw. Vei Ti Chung Tasiu Bam Theo Han. Kot Mach 175. Roy 172. Roy 169. Hok Nin Thay Chat Chan Phia Truok. Bon Xe Tuan Tra. Den Nap Nai. Kakasai Quan Dung Sansong. Va Ko Ko Gang Fan Gap La Cheek Charger Kwa Morrison. Cheek Xe Long Chong. Koi Boc Ra Tu Lop Xe. Han Ri Phi. Ko Gang D Vong Kwa. And Hung Mot Cheek Xe Tuan Tra Chan Han Lai. Cheek Xe Kwa Morrison Dam Veo Rao Chan Lu Duong. Kim Loi Vio Vun. Tue Kai Bung Ra Hok Jiam Tak Du. Dung Xe Catch Du 50 Thwak. Tat Mai. Kakasai Quan Zong Den Cheek Charger. Rut Sung. Ra Len. Morrison Lao Dao Buk Ra. Geote Len. Mao Ri Ra Tu Mui. And Hung Han Van Ten Tao. Kinjiak. Mot Si Quan Song Te Han. Mot Nuoi Kok Dak Gwin Kwa Han. Hok Suong Xe Tien Lai Gon Han. Mot Lin Tuan Tra Bang Buk Ra Kan Duong On. Duong He Lui Lai. Du La Nuoi de Doa Mot Bi Gai 14 Tuoi. Twa La Nuoi de Bout Sao Vik Nai. Nuoi Lin Tuan Tra Nin On. Ong La Daniels. Dung Vei. Torres de Zak Nen Shotwa. Noi Rang Ong de Ju and Tone Cho Kobi. Dung Vei. Cha Hanasi Kong Di Dao Sie Bai Geo. Chung Twa Bat Han Vi Toi Lai Xe Lu Lin. Botron Va de Doa Kung Bo. Tam Fan Se Them Toi Jiat Nuoi Kai Chung Twa Su Ly Bang Chung Vi Duong Dan Fan. Hok Nin Morrison. On Mat Ho Cham Now. Morrison No Mao. Chuyan Nai Chua Ket Tuk Dao Daniels. Roy Day. Mai Gi Mai Tang Saw. Mai Gi He Thong Se De Moti Biker. Nui Con Kwar Moti Kansat Saw. Kambi Kong Phi La Con Kwa Mai. Chua Bao Geo Lave. Morrison Lao Toi. And Hung Kakasai Quan de Ju Han Lai. Tawasi Ra Nguai. Han Het Len. Va Kai Tao Ra Nguai Noasi Chet. Mai Ne Tao Kong. Chet. And Hung Nuoi Lin Tuan Tra Kio Han Den Moti Cheek Xe Tuan Tra. De Han Veo Ben Trong. Han Tip Tu Si Het Len Cho Den Kai Ho Dong San Kwa Lai. Hok Dung Du Tho Dak. Te Run Ray. Diesel Buk Den Vio Vion. Zong Roy On Ban. That Saw. Hanasi Fine Goi to Rat Lao. Toi Jiat Sarah. Lam Dung Lily. And Hung Loi de Doa. Han Tu Doi Roy. Maven Tam Jia Kung Ho. Kansat Bang Dang Foi Hop Voi So Kansat Albuquerque. Du Tra De Du. Ho Dang Mo Lai Viu On Kwa Sarah. Morrison Kong Thot Koi Trian Nai Dao. Hok Rut Dien Tho Ira Goi Cho Rosa. Hok. Ko Trian Give. Zong Roy. Morrison de Bai Bat. Lily Ko On Kong. Con Bio Day. Con Bi and Tone. Big Tommy Va and Hung Nuoi Kok Dang Oben Nguai Fong. Chung Ta On. Noi Voi Con Bi La Chu Dang Den. Noi Voi Con Bi Se Kong Bao Geo Phi So Hai Nua. Twasi Noi Hok. On de Lam Duok. On de Ju Loi Hua. On Cup Mai. Nin Kak On M Kwa Min. V Nathoi. Trian DTRO Lai Albuquerque Mang Den Mot Cam Giak Kok. Nain Hang Han. Gan Nong 16 Nam Duok Go Bo Koi Vi Hok. Ho Den Kok San Desert Star Dung Luke Mat Troy Bet Dao Lon. And Hung Con Soi Thep Dang Doi O by Dao Xe. Kai Ho Nin Thay Hok. Diesel Va Maven. Ho Voa Trong Tiang Rio Ho. Hok Suong Xe. Di Shuyan Kwa Dam Dong Len Ka Tang Den Tang Bon. Fong 412. On Go Kwa. La Chu Hok. Kan Kwa Mora Rosa Dung Du. Mim Koi. Phi Sao Ko. Lily Dang Goi Tren Juong. Carol Va Bil Ben Kan Kobi. Kai Nin Thay Hok. Kobi Nai Len. Che Denoam Cham Le Ioan. Chu De Quay Lai. Chu De Huama. Han Ko Tuk Su Di Roy Kong. Han Dang O Trong Tu. Hanasi Kong Ra Nguai Dao. Rat Lao Nua. Kobi Nuke No Veon Gukon. Su Ne Nam Treo Dang Trong Long. Carol Buk Den. OMCA Hai Nuoi. Cam On Chu Hok. Cam On Chu V De Kong Tubo. Bil Duate Ra Jakasi Tu Hao. Chow De Ju Loi Hua. Hok Bat Taong. Luare Chow Nin Ju Loi Sam Han. Chow O De Roy. Dumwa La Ju Quan Trong. Marcus Sut Hien O Kwa. Vua Nen Duok Tin Tu Van Fong Lit Su Quan. Ho Dang De Don Kien. Jiat Nuoi Cap Du Mot Doi Voi Sarah. Nguak Dai Tre M Niam Trong Doi Voi Lily. De Doa Kung Bo. Va Ho Dang Zem Zet John Lon Tai Chin. And Hung Tai Koan Non Hung Ma Sarah Tim Thay. Hoa Ra Morrison De Bien Thursday 2 Kak 2 Dung Bang Chung. Bon Ma Tui by Tich Thursday. Han Dang Doi Mat Voi onto Chung Then Kong and Xe. Hok Nam Mat Lai. Koi Kung. Song Ly. Bai Geo Trian Gise Zara. Lily Hoi. Bai Geo Chung Tarsi Den Tucson. Chuesi Dang Ky Cho Con Veo Truong. Chuesi Tim Mot Na Tri Lu. Chung Tarsi Tim Catch De Tiaro Tan Mot Gia Din. Chi Chung Ta Thoi Saw. On Mim Koi. Kong Kong Chi Chung Ta. Con Ko Carol Va Bill. Con Ko Rosa Va Marcus Va Diesel Va Maven Va 97 Nuoi Kakasi Bo Moi Thursday Nu Con Kan Ho. Con Ko and Hung Con Soi Thep. Con Ko Gia Din Nake. Gia Din Tuksu. Con Chu Ti Saw. Chuesi Lam Bo Con Chu. Hok Suong. Nintang Veo Mat Kobi. Chu Kong Phi La Bo Kwa Con. Chu Kong Bao Geo Ko The Thay The Jake. And Hung Chuesi O De Mwage Chomwa Su Kien O Truong Va Mwa Ko and Kok Ko Kan Va Mwa Kai Con Kan Ai Du. Chuesi Kong Di Dao Sie. Hua Di. Tren Mo Cha Con. Chu Hua. Kobi Om on Lon Nua. Lon Nai Chat Han. Toi Ham Du. Ho Tap Trung Tai by Dao Xe Kwa Kok San. Tatsier 97 Consoi Thep, Carol Vabil, Marcus, Rosa, Torres, Nuoi de Dendabai to Lone Kintrong. Tam Chi Emotivine and Veen Ben Veen de Theo Doi Ka Chuyen. Maven Buk Len Phia Truok, Geo Len Mot Cheek Au Koak Deno, Cheek Au Koming Va Soi Thep, Lily Morrison, On Noi Jong Noi Vang Vong Cap by Dao Xe, Cha Kan Lai Mot Chien Bin, Mi Kan Lai Mot Chien Bin, Bakan, Kan Lai Mot Nuoi Song Sat, Hamne, Chung Ta de Lai Xev Con, Va Gay My Va Moi Gay Saudu, Chung Ta Si Tip Tu Lai Xev Kan Lai Mot Trong Chung Ta Roy, Jia Din Soi Thep Kwa Kan, On Koek Cheek Au Len Vi Kobi, Lily Nin Veo Ming Va Veo and Hung Nuoi Lai Xe Veo Hawk, Kamon Chu, Kobi Titam, Tatsier Moi Nuoi, Kamon Vita Den, Diesel Koi To Tot, Dula and Hung Gi Chung Ta Lam Nake, Ai Du Conjup Du, Chung Ta Lai Xe, Noi Vi Vik Lai Xe, Maven Noi, Chung Ta Ko Emotion Didaro Lai Tucson, Lily, Kandabao Jion Goi Xe My Chua, Kobi Lak Dao, Hok Mim Koi, Muon Thay Doi Ju Du Kong, Mat Kobi Mo Tu, That Saw, Nuong Ba Kandong Y, Carol Nan Gu, Roy Gat Dao, Chi Kan Nen, Hok Jup Lily Len Cheek Harley Kwam In, Du Cho Kobi Mot Cheek Mu Bao Him, Om Chat Veo, Dung Buong Ra Kan Esi Kong, Va On Koi Dong Dong Ko, Tien Gam Vong Lai Cap by Dao Xe, Lon Lut, and Hung Cheek Xe Kok Kong Koi Dong, 97 Dong Ko Gam Ru Dong Ton, Ba Roy Ho Di Chuyen, Mo Don XCDV Hung Te, Hung Vi Na, Hung Vi Su Chualan, Hung Vi Mot Tuong Lai Koi Kung Kung Tuoi Sang, Lily Vong Te Omeo Hawk, Ju Chat Nu the Tin Man Kwa Ko Fu Thuok Veo No, Trong Guang Chiu Hao Hawk They Kobi Mim Koi, Lon Dao Tien Sao Tunam, Kobi Trong Nu Mot Du a Tray Tro Lai, So Hai, Dung Vei Dao Buon, Chik Chan, and Hung Kung De Hai Vong, Ho Lai Xe Kwa on Sang Not Dan, Kwa Se Mak, Kwa and Hung Gon Nui, Kwa Noi Dao, Diesel Tien Len Ben Kan Ho Geo Gon Tate Sai Len, Maven O Phia Ben Kia Chow, Dang Sao Hola 94 Nuoi Lai Xe Nua, Mot Doi Quan Nuoi La de Tro Tan Jia Din, Hawk Ve Jake, V Loi Hua on de Dua Ra Trong Bui Bam Vamau Kwa Afghanistan, V16 Nam on de Lang Phi Kai Gi Ngo Ben Then, and Hung on Dang O De Bai Geo, Va Lily Kung Vei, Va the Ladu, Duong Chow Tok Trade I Phia Truok, Rong Mo, Vo Tan, De AP and Hung Kanong, Chu Hawk, Jong Lily No Bi Jua Geo, Yu Nake, Chu Kogi Bo Kong Ko the Nin Thay Chung Ta Kong, Ko Hong Hawk Engan Lai, Ko Chu Gila Bo Ko the, Chu Kogi Bo Tu Hao Kong, Chu Beat Bo Tu Hao, Kobi Tua Dao Veo Lung On, Tot V Kong Kung Vei, Ho Tip Tu Lai Xe Veo Dem Gate Song Buong Suong, Veo Bet Cu Ju Gi Zara Tip Theo, Oi V and Hung Loi Hua Kong Chi La Loi Noi, Chung La Han Dong, Chung La Su Zut Hien Kai Ju Du Quan Trong, Chung La 97 Nuoi Kong Beat Mot Kogai, and Hung Van Lai Xe 600 Dam, Chung La Jia Din, Va Jia Din Tuksu, Kong Bao Geo Tubo, Kong Bao Geo, Kong Aica, Don Xe Bien Mat Veo Duong Chan Troi, Dong Ko Gam Ru, Den Sang Ruk, Mang Mot Kogai Hung Toi Suan Tone, Hung Toi Su Thuok Vi, Hung Toi Ngoi Na, Va Trong Koen Kok Du, Dui Bao Troi Sa Mak Rong Lan, Voi and Hung Kan Soi Thep Lai Xe Ben Kan, Va Mot Nuoi Denong Koi Kung de Ju Loi Hua Dang Cam Lai, Lily Morrison Kong Kan Don Dok, Ko Duok Bao Vi, Ko Duok Yu Thuong, Ko La Jia Din, Am Nek,